and then they then do last person standing, so to speak. So the first person drawn out might win $500 worth of gear. And the second guy, the grand, the next guy, 1,500, then $2,000, and eventually it's up to the last two, which might be like a $50,000 boat and a trip to Solomon Islands for two people, something worth $10,000 or whatever, something like that. And they'll do the same to kids. The kids will have a similar scenario. So the kids, all the juniors, are given their number and they'll draw a couple out each night. I think they're in about 10 or 15 juniors, I think, sit in a little circle, and it'll be the same deal. They'll start off at around a similar sort of a thing, but the end one's like a tinny with a, like might be 3.1 metre with a 6 on the back or something like that, or a 4, wherever it might be. So really good prizes too. The kids are all nervous, and half of them are only like 10-year-olds, so it's a big buzz for them if they get called out. And yeah, it's a great comp, and there's nightly prizes. There's just so much. There's like 500 grams worth of prizes given away, but it does cost 300k this year, is it? Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. It's up there.
I think it's about 500,000 total giveaway. Which
might be total. Might be 300 on the night, 200 during the night during it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
250 prizes
at the end. Okay, you're probably right saying at the end. Yeah. So anyhow, because you get a bag as well, like you have here, and that bag for your team is worth about, I don't know, around $400 or $500, Dave, sort of thing, or Sandy, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Two different teams for a 2-man and a 3-man.
Yeah, that's right.
But it would, on average, be a couple of $100 an angler.
Yeah, per angler. That's right. That's right. So around 400 to 600 sort of thing of value in your bag. The cost is up there. It's $545, I think, this year for adults, and $295. $550 and $295 for juniors, I think. Somewhere in there, I think. Anyhow, jump onto the website, Gold Coast Sport Fishing Club. It's all on there. Okay, great comp.
It's all catch and release.
It's all catch and release.
No bait.
No bait, lures only. And no single fishing, only teams of 2 or 3.
It's all bragging rights.
It's all bragging rights. That's right. Lots of times. Dave, you've won it a couple of times, mate.
Yep.
Yeah. 3 times.
I've
come second twice.
Stop bragging.
I've never won it yet. He's always standing on the podium. I'm below him. But yeah, yeah. So it's a great comp, and I've fished it. I can't fish this year because Drew wants to fish it. I've got to work, unfortunately. It's the first time I haven't fished for a long time. I think out of the last 31 years strong now. I think, is that correct?
Yeah, I fished the first one in '99. So
yep.
I think it's been going for
yeah.
7 years or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I think I've done out of the last 31 years, I've fished like about 24 of them. I think. Might have missed a few. So it's a great comp. Anyhow, that's that one out of the way. So next one, who's been flathead fishing? Who's caught a fish over 60 centimetres this season? Quite 70? Okay, a few braggers here. Hey, put your hand up, Sandy. 80 centimetres? Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to go the big one. 90? Oh my gosh, I'm fishing with you. You're talking at your lecture. Come up here, sir. How big is it, matey?
43.
Yeah, well done. That's a weapon. Yeah, big fish.
Whereabouts?
Okay. Anyhow, look, the beauty about flathead fishing, and what I love flathead fishing, is that it's a lucky dip, right? Every cast, every troll, everything you do, it can be 30 centimetres or 25, and the next one might be 95. You don't know. It's a lucky dip. Every cast, every troll. So, and the best thing is the big ones will take, those random big ones will take a troll lure or a cast soft plastic or a cast hard body at any time and anywhere. They're the random big fish, right? That if on the spot at the right time and hit it on its head, you've pretty well got it, then you've got to land it. And then you've got the ones where the big ones stack up, which is around about September, October. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, because every month now gets better and better for the next 2 to 3 months. So when those big ones stack up, that's when you get multiple big ones, okay? It's different to what we're talking about right now, where we catch an individual. When the multiple big ones are on, which is probably going to be, you can get them trawling at times too. Casting hard bodies up on the flats, definitely. You can get 10 fish over 70 in a session if you find them where they are. And in the deep, as Dave's very good at fishing in the deep, soft plastics, that's the next seminar. But that's an experience on its own too. If you get onto them when they're on the edge of the bank or in the deeper water, again, you can pull 10 fish over 70, 80 in a session as well. Okay, at the moment, the fishing's there's big fish being caught, but it's predominantly in that sort of 38 to 62 area with the odd 70s and 80s and 90s amongst it. Okay, so, but as each week goes on now, those 40s become more 50s and those 50s become more 60s. And by the middle of September to middle of October, they're predominantly, you still get little 40s and 50s, but you get a lot of more 60s and 70s and the odd 80s as well. Yeah, that's how it sort of works. And then as soon as that water gets too warm, they just disappear somewhere. They go somewhere. You get a bit more of a run here and there on the moon, but they'll be pretty well disappear somewhere. So it's just the way it is. Yep, so time we're going to tell you about how to do it with the hard bodies. So we break the flathead seminars up into 2 lots. We do the hard bodies first, and then we do the soft plastics in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm going to talk to you about trawling, and Stewie's going to talk to you about casting hard bodies. That's what we're going to do it tonight, okay? So how many people here have done trawling for flathead? And success rate? Yeah, not too bad. So when you fish the Flatty Classic, to be the best all-rounder, you need to be able to do both. You need to be able to cast and you need to be able to trawl. Because there are times when they just switch off on the casting and you'll catch them trawling. So if you get, and when you fish the Flatty Classic competitively, you haven't got time to even have a drink. You just go. That's for the bragging rights, not all the prizes, okay? So the prizes for the bragging rights are very small compared to those random prizes. So when we go trawling, we look at a couple of things. We look at the tide times. So the tide times are really important. There's a flats trawling, and then there's trawling the edge of the banks on the runoff, or the building flooding up onto the banks. So if I had like tomorrow morning's tide, I think it's around about 8:30 or 9 o'clock high, roughly speaking. Look, I would be probably fishing the last bit, if I'm trawling this is, the last little bit of banks that edges are still out and it's about to flood over those last bit of the bank. I'd be trawling up and down the front of that. As soon as it gets onto that bank on the high tide, if I can find a drain that goes into that area and I can get in there, it's only be 1 metre deep, and trawl that on those flats. You want an area that's sort of that muddy, weedy area rather than just sand. It can't be just plain sand, doesn't work. Very rare catch fish in those areas.
On the run in.
On the last to run in. So say tomorrow morning. So if I went out tomorrow morning at say 6:30, 7, another thing too, don't go too early for flatties, they're sun worshippers, okay? They don't like the dark. You waste your time. You'll get an early bite sometimes, but they like it when the sun sort of peeked its head over Australia and it's beaming down. Really important. And then, so tomorrow morning, so for example, who's going fishing tomorrow morning, by the way? Okay, try this plan, for those of you who's maybe not going. So I'd be looking for those areas, or an area that I can get up onto the flats straight away. So if the flats maybe 1 metre deep at 6:30 in the morning, I'd be up on top of that flat trawling, you know. So they're the flats that you see that still have water on them at low tide, but you just can't get near it because it's too shallow, right? But at high tide, once that tide's sort of halfway up, you should be able to get over the top of it. Obviously, if you've got a 6 metre boat and a 200 horsepower at the back, you may not be able to get up on there, but most boats up to 5 metres are pretty easy to do it. Believe it or not, I used to trawl out of my 680 Haynes when that was what I used maybe at the time, doing something else than having a flatty fish. I'd trawl behind that. As long as you go slow, and when you're trawling, your optimal speed is around about, if you're in kilometres an hour, at around about 2.5 to about 4.3 kilometres per hour. Okay. If you're going with the current, which you probably will be most of the time, that's a better way to fish. You probably might get up to 5 kilometres an hour, 7 kilometres an hour. But you can't really do much about it because if you go too slow, the lures don't work, they don't get down. Okay. But there is a trick to make your lure work better in that situation, which I'll tell you about a bit later. If you're trawling against the current, the only time I really do that is if the current is nearly at the peak or the bottom, or there's not. It's one of those like last weekend where it's 1 metre high and a 1/2 metre low. There's not much run, so those days I'll go up and down the same lap without pull my lines up and burning back up and come back down again. So most of the time we trawl them with the current, okay? Does that all make sense? So take all this in, try it tomorrow, if you're going out tomorrow, or whatever. So get back to the scenario tomorrow. So 8:30 high, okay, I narrowed down at, say, example, tipless area. I might be able to get up on that big bank on the left side of tiplers, so down towards the end, before it comes out to go to Jake as well, or to the pin there, on that big bank there. And we call it Shitter's Ditch, so you can get up Shitter's Ditch and trawl that any tide. But if you can get up onto that flat there, you'd be able to do that definitely 2 hours before high. And I'd fish it right through to the high. It's a big area. That area there, you've got sort of probably around 3K or 2K by about 1K wide. So if you're raking that, it'll take you 3 hours to trawl every bit of it, you know. And if you get a hook up and get a couple of fish and they're stacked, you might do that run 2 or 3 times before you go to the next rake. Raking it means like just going like that sort of scenario and trying to find when it's really important, because a lot of time the water's not too clear, not too bad at the moment in clarity, but if the water's dirty, you'll need to watch your sounder like an eagle. So you're not even watching anything except your sounder, obviously sandbank in front of you, but you need to be finding that where it goes from 1 metre to 1.2. That 1.2 is going to hold the fish, and it's going to get less weed on your hooks and work a lot better. So, and you try and follow that, and it's not always straight enough, because I do go a bit like this, those drains, but if you can follow that little bed, creek bed, whatever it might be, up on the flat, that's the area you got to hunt and mark it on your GPS. The next time you go out there, you just follow the marks. It's a lot easier. So it's like when I'm outside fishing, I'm continuously marking. You've got to do that on your GPS. So have you all got GPS on your boat? You should all have GPS these days, I think.
So which is ditch day?
Yeah.
I know you got that. I'm guessing this is the area you got that sort of flat where it comes around. There's that channel that.
Yes, that's right. That's Shooter's Ditch. Yep.
In between the 2 islands.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. That's Shooter's Ditch. Yep. Yep. So there's not only a big bank there, but a bit of bank comes out at low tide there, seagrass bed. But yeah, yeah. I'll go through the map a bit later and show you exactly what I want. But Shooter's Ditch. Yes.
So did you say that on high tide, you have to be there, what time?
Yeah, so yeah, this tomorrow, I don't know how big a high is. I think it's not 2 bags, the full moon's coming up, right? It's a fairly big. 1.3. So you'll be able to get up there even in a 6 metre boat tomorrow, up on that flat, say, for example. And what I'm trawling, I'm looking for, if the water's clear enough, that's the only time you take your eyes off the sounder, because you don't need to look at the sound, you need to now look at the water. Make sure you got polarized on, look for sand patches, and just check the sound, and those sand patches should drop down a bit more. Okay, the weed will be constant flat, but if it drops down a bit, there's generally sand. It works reverse on those banks.
And you will troll that sort of weedy.
I'll troll the edge.
You know when you see those mud particles?
Yeah.
Is that even worth fishing?
Yeah, it is. So if you've got those clumps, that needs a bit of tide to make that work. There's a few of those sort of spots out north of Crab Island that goes up the Sovereign in those little drains there. There's those big mud clumps. Those big clumps, they sit behind those clumps, but it's a better casting spot than trolling, because you get stuck on the mud. Yeah, with your line in your boat.
When you talk about the 1.2 up on the edge, on the rising tide, do you believe those fish get out of that 1.2 up onto the top? Do you have to move up there?
Yeah, so exactly right, Dave. So once it's deep enough on the edges, so you're sort of working from the, so low tide, I'll get this scenario again tomorrow, but if low tide, you'd be starting on the outer edge where the bank's it's all uncovered, sorry, and you've got little drains that might come off the bank, and particularly honing in on those little front of the creek mouths, or to the left where it's running down. They'll never be to the right side of it. So if the tide's going that way, the fish are going to be on that side of that creek opening. They're not going to be on that side. That's how they're in the current, sitting in that current. Same like pressure point. It's a pressure point. And we tend to trough from there down until it gets a bit dead. That dead water's no good. So anything that looks like dead water, which is like got scum on top of it, it's no movement happening, just get out of there. You're wasting your time. So, and you probably would have found that out before. You just don't catch fish there for some reason. It's got to have a bit of movement. But yeah, Dave, once that starts to spill over the bank and it's deep enough for them to get over it, you've got to then get up on with them and try and find the next little deep pocket up on that bank. So like the guys that are hard core trawlers, that they'll actually go up on the bank at low tide and walk it and check it out and try and, you can't obviously use a GPS, they could have had Navionics on their phone, I guess, and try and work out where it's a bit of a dip or where there's a tree that holds a fish or whatever it might be, stuff like that. I don't go to that extent. I just chew my motor up until I find it. Chew the bottom up. That is one thing too, like when you are on the bottom, obviously it's not good for your motor, and we all know that, but people ask you trawl the electric, lift it up high, and you're not getting, you reckon, your motor up on the bottom. I would tell you now, you get definitely a lot more fish trawling with the outboard than you do with electric. 100% guaranteed. I don't know if it's the noise or I think they come in on the night. So Johnny Faulkner, one of our guys in the game club, good guy, years ago invented a tow cam, and he was into the flathead fishing and seen that for a while. And he did this. He put the cam down, and on the electrics, you see fish coming every now into the lure. On the motor, it was constantly flatties following the boat. And yeah, not much. No, not in comparison. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Way out behind your boat. I know you talk about prop
Yeah.
wash and stuff. Some people like the fish right in on their prop.
Yeah, correct.
Can
Yeah.
you back out? Like,
No, not far.
preference?
From here to the back of the shop would be the most first ever, and that's probably in about 5 foot or 8 foot of water.
Just a little flick out and that's pretty much.
That's it. Not even to the stairwell. Yeah. 10 metres maybe. But so another thing too, the shallower it is, the closer to your boat you trawl. Okay, that's the golden rule. So if it's 1 metre deep below your boat, I drop it back about maybe the maximum 10 metres. And if it's 2 metres deep, I might drop it back 20. If it's 3 metres deep, I would never drop back 30, but it might be a bit more than 20 metres, which is a bit past the back of the shop here, you know. So it's all relative to the depth if you work on that sort of formula. And Michael Green, who's David Green's son, used to work with us. He's won the Flathead Classic many times. He does trawl in the prop wash. So his lure, he's held the rod tip round real low in the water. He's standing up when he's trawling, and he's flicking it, and it's just right near the motor. And he pulls 80s, 70s, whatever. Yeah, they come, as was the gentleman saying, they come right in the motor. Okay, so get back to tomorrow's scenario, for those of you going. For that tide, 1.2, 1.3, you'd be able to get up on that flat, straight up, and you can just cruise the whole thing and troll the whole thing, if you're in that scenario. And then you've got to remember, guys, if you get up on that, and girls, if you get up on that flat, it is so important that you understand how you got in there and how to get out. Because you could be trapped in there for 6 hours if you don't get out in time. And that's when you bang fish too, by the way. You catch a fish and you think, oh, there's one more run. Let's get back up and do one more run. And then you get a fish in, you take photos, whatever. And the tide, you all know, the tide when it drops has spasms. So it's like just a gentle flow going down. And then next one it drops 10 centimetres. And then it's like in 10 minutes. And then you go, where's the water? Where did it all go? You know? But it feels like there's nothing happening. So be really careful of the tide because you will get stuck. So that's the thing about flats. Okay. So now the tide's now dropping, okay? And we've got to get out of there. So if I was in that position, I'd probably then go down the shooter's ditch and I'd troll shooter's ditch, which is the channel out of the bank. All those fish that are on those flats will start to then sit down fall into that channel. They come off the flats. But the flat's deep enough, they'll hold and they'll just roam around.
They'll be on
But-
both sides of the flat.
Yeah, so that channel actually is quite wide. I was up there on Sunday, and compared to last year, which used to be like 20 metres wide, I reckon it's about 40 metres wide in some areas, especially at the southern end of it at the moment. It's quite wide, so you can just about do donuts that way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of pro crabbing pots in the area, but yeah, just be careful of that. But yeah, so troll that. Then once it gets, you can troll shooters in at low tide, but if you're on another bank and it's getting shallow, once it gets out and it starts to come out of those drains, then you start trolling the edge of that. So you switch your lures. Actually, I'll go do the lures while we're here. So if you troll in the flats, little lures and little bibs, okay? Something gets down maximum 5 feet or a metre. So like tango shads, the little bulldog, they're really good as well. The Wilson boys like using those. I'll just pass these around while we're going around. At the end there, folks, when you get to the end, sorry, mate. When you get to the end, just put them on the floor or something. Yeah, not in your bag, Kevin, but just on the floor, mate. Cheers. So I'm keeping the lure quite small and the bib quite small. The bib gets longer. Please remember in lures, someone's cleaned this up from last time. Sorry. Right, okay. I'm going to just do this here, sorry. So if this is the front of your lure, okay, if the bib's like that, it's fairly shallow. Little bib, not much to it, okay? Sorry, love, go back there. If the bib's like this, it's going to get down maybe 1.5 meters. The other one's going to be sub 1 meter, 1.5 meters. If the bib, and each time it's going from that to that, now if the bib's quite big and out the front there like that, it's going to get down to like probably 2.5 meters or 3 meters. That same little lure, just changing that bib from that to that to that is like 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, okay? So a lot of lures now give that option. The same lure, bigger bibs. Bigger bibs, more deeper. So don't use the big bibs in the shallow water because you'll be just continuously getting weed off your hooks. And you have to take that weed off your hook. You can't trawl and think, oh, I'll still get a flatty on. It's got to go and the whole time. It can't just be dead. And most of the time, if it is dead, just look straight at the back of the boat. You can see it on the surface with weed on it. You have to take the weed off.
I've actually started trolling in the last couple of years with an 822 NRX,
Oh, yeah?
which is a pretty stiff rod.
Yeah, very. Yep. Going to talk about it tonight, actually, yeah.
But feeling the weed
Yes.
almost instantly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like, because that rod's so responsive, so I fish a pretty light drag on it.
Yes, yep.
But the fact that you can feel the weed straight
Mm.
away when you're getting it,
Yeah,
and quite often with that snap,
Yep.
you feel it back straight away.
yeah, right, okay, yep.
While you get used to using a rod like that.
Yep,
but,
yep.
But mate, I wouldn't want
That-
to troll with anything else now.
Yeah, so I was going to bring... Yeah, so one thing I recommend, I used to use quite whippy rods for trawling because I could see it all happening, whatever. The problem is I work my rod, which I'll talk about in a minute, but if you have too light a rod, you can't work it, and if you've got wind blowing on your side, you're going to get tip wrapped every time you work it. Second thing is, as Dave said, when you get a lot of weed on, you can actually flick the rod and flick that weed off a lot of the time. You can't do that with a light rod. The tip bends, and it becomes worse scenario, it's more tip wrapped. So a stiff rod's actually not too bad to trawl with. So I've taken my thinking from light to heavier, not heavy, but heavier rod for trawling. There, you're correct, spot on. Okay, so we got our little lures, now we're going to the deeper water. We go to a medium bib. So those little lures come around as shallow. The next one up is going to be, just going to put my specs on here, sorry. Get out of there. So I'll probably go to what we call like a mid-diving one, which gets down to about 1.5 metres. Please get down 1.5 and 2.5. Actually, I'll pass these both around. These are the same lure, okay? Redix, these are great little lures for flathead. They are really, really good. One's a 1.5, one's a 2.5. If you look at them both at the same time, as they come around in 2, if you don't mind, you'll see as the bib gets longer, it gets more surface area, pushes it down more, deeper, okay? So the longer bib's going to be a super deep one. So now we're trawling in water that's sort of in that 5 to 8 feet on the edge of the bank. So we've dropped off the channel, into the channel edges. And I love to trawl between 5 and 8 feet, which is like 1.5 to about 2.8 metres or 2.5 metres. Okay, I've just found some magic at depth where the flatties sit on the side. It can drop down to like 6 metres, but they are always in that 1.5 to 2.5 metres. So if you trawl that edge. Now, it's a bit like you got to have, I talked about putting little marks on your screen. Please have your track on your GPS. Use your track. Same as you do when you're trawling for mackerel or whatever, and drifting. But when you're trawling on the edge of a bank, it might look straight, but under the water, there are points that come out, there's areas that come in close, and it's not just a straight line down on the edge of the bank. It doesn't work that way. So, and when you get those little points that come out under the water, you can't see it, especially when the water's dirty. It might be straight along here like this, and then the bank's still straight, but and the water goes down for maybe 10 metres out, where the other one was like 2 metres from the sand, it was 6 foot deep, right? The little point comes out. That point holds the fish. It's called a pressure point again. So they'll be sitting on the front of it, and when you trawl over it, that's when you get your fish. So look for that. They're really good. Those little points are really good, but you can't see them because they're down under the water, unless the water's super clear. So I look for those a lot of the time. Okay, and you look at
Edge of crab where
edge of crab's it's a bit like that, undulating as well.
It's got that big
Yep, big,
bit of sand that comes out
yep,
further the way up.
yep. Did you catch fish there? You should.
Not yet.
No, you will.
Won't spend much
But
time.
it'll also form an eddy, and you get bait holding the eddy that holds the fish. Okay, so those little underwater spits hold bait as well.
In the right conditions, don't
Yep.
get the ripples.
Ripples are really good too. So the ripple's actually on top of that bank, under the water. So you pick it from that way as well. And another great thing to follow on the edge of banks is professional crab potters. They always drop their pots in the deeper area of the edge of the bank and trawl that edge as well. Yeah, but they're always in the way. But you got to decide whether to go that side, the shallow side, or the inside, or the outside. It's better to go on the outside because if you go in the shallow, you get stuck because it's quite a steep drop off. So when we're trawling those edges, some of my favourite lures to trawl, one of them by far is Strike Pro. I love these Galaxians. I've caught, I don't know how many fish on these things. They're really, really good. There's a whole array of colours. Sorry, mate.
How deep do they go?
About 10 feet, 3 metres. They'll get down to, if you drop it back, about 20 metres. Yeah. The further back you drop your lure, the deeper it gets down that same lure. So if you got that lure there and I'm trawling in, say, if I got it, say, 10 metres behind the boat and I'm in 3 metres deep, I only kick the bottom every now and then. Okay, I want to drop it, once you go in shallow, to say 2.2 or 2.4 metres. If I drop out another 10 metres of line, so if you're using colour line, you drop back another colour, right? All of a sudden, and I give it a bit of a pull, next one I'm kicking the bottom pretty hard. So, because I've dropped it back a bit further, I've worked it down a bit deeper. So do you all know how to work your lure to get it down? You click it forward, pull it forward, and it'll, all of a sudden it's really kicking hard. Don't do that in shallow water though, because you get a heap of weed on your hooks. You drive it into the weed and mud and it'll get stuck actually.
In the shallow, you don't sort of work it
Sorry,
so
mate.
much, so you don't work it so much.
No, I don't. No, I don't work as much in shallow, and my technique's a lot slower. So, do you want me to do I'll do the technique now. So when I'm trawling along, everyone's got their own technique. Stewie's different to mine. I'll get him to show you his a bit later. Yeah. So if I'm trawling along on my boat, I drive with this hand on the steering wheel. It's the side console, and this is my working hand here. And what I'll do is, as the boat's going forward with the current, I'll just I'll work it, I'll pull it a little bit to get it down to the kick at the bottom, right? And then I'll slowly creep it forward. So I'm pulling it a bit faster than normal. So I'm about at this point here, which is about I don't know, probably 30 degrees or whatever, from the front of my boat at say 2 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock, what I'll do then is I'll drop it back, and I pull it forward as I drop it back. And what it does, any flathead that's following it, when you drop it back, it gives it just that second of slack, and they nail it every time. You get it. Okay, so because if you pull it forward too fast, one is you blow the lure out of the water, so you're going too fast as well. And second thing is it digs down too deep and gets stuck in the bottom, right? So I'll just gradually pull it forward, take it at about 2 o'clock, and then I'll drop it back, and I'll go forward as I go back. And it's like twitch, and they hit it. Okay, and then I'll slowly do it again. And you'll see guys whacking it all the time forward, but top of whacking it forward is you only do that to get the lure down. Once it's down, don't do that. Go reverse way, go backwards. Backwards gets a lot more fish than forward pulling. But you will get them forward pulling if the water's deep enough that allows you to do that and it's not too weedy. Because sometimes when you do that and you drop back that little bit, they'll hit it on that when you drop it back just that second before you bring it forward again. Yeah, so 2 o'clock, 1, 2, 3. Slowly bring it forward again. Really, not that fast. It's actually probably over about, I guess I'm driven maybe 15 metres forward or 20 metres forward, 2 o'clock, and then that sort of, but my line's down actually a bit lower, but I don't hit the ladies in the head. It's down a bit lower when I'm doing it, okay? Another thing too, I'm watching my sounder, okay? I'm watching that edge. When I come up to that that rise, that might go from 2.2 metres up to 1.2 metres on that little underwater spit. What I'll do then is I'll lift my rod tip up, because I got it a long way back. I don't wind it forward to make it be a bit shallower. I'll just lift my rod tip up. Lifting your rod tip up will allow it to lift off the bottom about a metre. If you lift it up quite high. Same deal, we've got weed. If you're looking at a sounder, and all of a sudden it's say 2.2 metres deep and you kick in the bottom, and then you get like a metre of this thick brush on the bottom. Well, that's obviously weed. You're going to get weed straight away. So at that point, I quickly lift my tip my rod up. The reason being is it's 20 metres behind you, so you're ahead of time. Okay, so does that make sense? So you're about to come under that weed, quickly lift your rod tip up. And sometimes, you know, your mates might say, what are you doing? But I'm watching the sounder all the time. So if whoever's watching the sounder, the people next to them should be emulating the same thing. Okay.
How deep will you troll up to?
So that's a really good question. Like many years ago, Peter Bakula, who also did really well in the Flathead Classic back in the day, used to troll Man's 30 plus and 25 plus. It got down 10 metres. And he did really well on those big flatties in the seaway. He lost more lures than he caught fish, and they're very expensive, but he had a fetish for it anyhow. But he did really well. So I reckon you could just about, not quite the pin's probably it's 40 feet deep, you know, it's a bit deep, but you could nearly trawl the bottom in the deep water of the pin if you had a big enough bib lure. And those big fish aren't scared of a 25 centimetre lure. Yeah. Something different. No one's ever done it since Peter Bakula, I think. It's too expensive. They're $30, $40 a lure. So, and you lose 10 a session on the bottom, on snags and stuff.
I thought about doing it with the Alco Crazy Deep.
Oh, they'd probably get that. Well, that's a bit cheaper alternative, but you're still going to lose them though. Yeah.
And pull the rod out of your hand just about.
Yeah, so that's why you get someone to wind it in for you. So we're talking lures that are like much, much bigger than any of these lures we're talking about. But please remember, 90 centimetre fish love the little lures. They love it, okay, especially in the shallow stuff. So everyone understand the technique? Okay, that's all good? Good. The next thing I want to tell you about is, you guys are actually on this, my next thing is go bigger lure. So as we go a bit deeper, we go a little bit bigger. So that's about as big a profile as I'd probably want to use these days, that one there. That'll get down about 3.5 metres maybe. There's a couple of spots I troll up towards sort of slipping sands around that area, or back of, I can't remember the name of the island, Kangaroo I think it is. Anyhow, opposite to Jake as well, opposite to Russell Island, sorry. And it's quite deep along that edge there, it's about 3 metres deep, but there are a lot of snags. You lose a lot of lures, unfortunately. Do you all know what a tackleback is? I didn't bring one up to show you, but we've got them downstairs. But have a tackleback in your boat, and if the current's not too strong, take the effort just to quickly have a quick go getting your lure back off. So it hooks onto your line, you just hold it right up tight, and it just got two little rings on it. You just hook it onto your line, hold it right up tight. Put it on a handrail, it's like on cord, and it just slides down your line like a flying fox. And then you jerk on the handrail, or just use the line in your hand, and you feel it hook on, and then just pull it and it bends the hooks and get your lure back. It's about 80% success rate, but in current it's really hard to use. You got to use a big, heavy one.
Sorry, that's where I like to use the electric, or if I get that, I'll put it on
Spot lock, yeah. Good idea, that's right. So if you got an electric, and 100%, yeah, that's right. Very good for that. Yeah.
With the slipping sands, they're more up like Russell and
There's a lot of fish up Russell on both sides.
Oh, sorry, the slipping sands.
Slipping sands, yeah. So towards Russell, you know that bank on Stratty opposite Russell, where the first lot of boats are sort of moored on the southeastern corner of Russell, so to speak. On that Stratty side is really good.
Yeah.
Good area.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, good area. Yes, mate.
And with Wally's gutter, is that good?
Yep. Our Wally is a great trawling area as well, and casting, but trawling is really good as well. So Wally's gutter, it's deep enough to trawl both sides everywhere, and the lures will get down there as well. Yeah.
Saying before it's detrimental to be using electric, but just then you're saying it's beneficial sometimes to use electric to troll.
If you're in snag areas, definitely yes, because you can do what the gentleman said before. And some people just like quiet mode, but I believe, and myself and everyone, that the motor does bring them on, stirs it up. Yeah.
I would actually start my back motor
Yep.
and have it running if I was going to troll on the electric.
Serious.
That's how much I believe.
Oh, there you go.
boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I don't even use electric. I used to use electric all the time for trawling. Until I learned it wasn't the right thing. That's 20 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, through there.
I just get colours. Colours of lures are really important, guys. This is something that's left field. It's a coral trout, but it's one of the best flathead lures you're going to get at the moment. Okay, it's a little Reddix coral trout colours. Anyone use that yet?
Yeah.
If you haven't, you should be. It was a
Whiting love them too.
Whiting love it too. Yeah, they probably do. I know flatties love it. Now the next thing, which is getting back to that Galaxian that I passed around earlier, which I think you got in your bag as well. Maybe I'm not sure about that one. But anyhow, they do an array of colours that work really well. But it's called, that shape's called a shad, and that shad shape is available in many different brands of lures, and it's one of the best working flathead shapes if you're trawling. Okay, so it's a shad. I'll just show you a couple of different brands. I'll pass them around so you get the gist of how many different types there are. Like over the years of the Flathead Classic, pink's been like one of the best lures. Pink micro mullet's a great lure, but because everyone uses pink. Once people think that's the go, they'll use pink. Sorry, look. You like pink? Okay. So that's a pink one in the S-Tackle one in the Shake and Dance. That is an absolute really good lure too. They do 3 variations of it, but that is the best variation. Okay, they do a pink and black and a pink and white, but that's the best one. Green's a really good colour in trawling lures as well. Like your typical green, banana green, if you want to call it. Great colour as well. So I'll pass all these around. They're all similar shape. Natural colours. Okay, natural colours, clear colours I'm not a big fan of myself personally, but they have their time when the water's clear. They'll outdo a solid colour by far. So a prawn, they mimic, the prawn sort of is the style of the mimicking a prawn, yeah. So clear means prawn, okay? And most of them have little stripes on them to mimic the prawn on a clear lure. They're never like half that colour and half that colour, it's always striped. That's just how clear lures are. But really good in clear water, but don't use it in dirty water. You're wasting your time. I'll pass a few of these around. Another great colour is chartreuse and white. It's a great colour in which Stuart will talk about a bit later, but that's a real good colour in trawling lures as well. Okay, chartreuse and white. White bellies work really well because they're flathead are unusual fish for predatory sort of thing. Obviously the motor stirs them up, but their vision is terrible. It's their eyes on top of their head. You've more or less got to go over the top of their head and graze their head to get them to wake up and hit your lure, right? So colour is quite important to get flatties to go. So pink, I think, as I said, pink works well because everyone uses pink. If you had everyone use green, probably be a great colour too. So it's the more people using it, the more statistics you're going to get on a colour. But some of my favourite colours are definitely orange. I know the orange coral trout's really good. Pink is obviously good. Green's really good, but I love dark colours like red. Red's really good. It's like a dark red that's nearly like purple-black sort of red. And that's in a clear. It's one of the only clear colours I use in any water, dirty or clean. It's a good colour.
Dougie, do you still put scent on the lures?
Yeah, I do. Not all the time, but I do. I do if it's quiet. It's a mental thing, maybe. Definitely, if you're going to put it on the top side, not the belly side. The belly side's working the bottom all the time, and the hooks are kicking up sand, and it'll get flicked off pretty easy. On the back, it stays on for quite a while. Yeah. So I'm going to pass these around in sort of twos. But you'll get the gist. These are all different shad lures, and shad is the biggest seller for us in any brand because that's the shape that catches flathead. They're made for flathead. I think they're actually made for bass in America, but we use them here as well. And I'll pass a couple of clear colours around so you get the gist on that as well. Actually, those three probably do. Clear colours. And they're clear colours. Thank you. So any questions on the colours at all? Everyone's good on colours?
You're fanning UV, non-UV.
Yeah, so good call. That's a good question. The gentleman asked UV versus non-UV. I'm a big fan of UV, no matter what it is. Deep water, flathead, doesn't matter. It is definitely a thing that turns fish on, I think. And anything that's an advantage is the thing you'd use, okay? Yeah, so definitely. And S Factor has UV built in as well. If you put a UV torch on S Factor, you see it goes green colour. That's UV enhanced. Yeah, it's UV activated as well.
What about this one with the flash in it?
Yeah, flash boost. Yes, yeah, it does work, but the problem you got to put up with is weed. Weed. You continuously take a weed off your hooks. You know, this is the weed we're talking about at the moment is just urban growing weed on the bottom. Okay. Then we got the snot weed, which is the encroaching weed nightmare. Correct. So the deeper your lure goes, the more snot weed you get 'cause it hangs on the bottom and it grips onto the seaweed and hangs at the bottom. So if you're a plower through the weed, you're going to be getting so much snot weed on, which is that brown, super light, mossy type weed.
You still get fish when that's not.
Yeah, you do. You do. You know, I've caught fish on, particularly when I've got other people on the boat, I always take the weed off and smack them off my lures, whatever. But they'll just either not know or be lazy. And next thing I'll get like a 60 or whatever. And I look at it and I go, what? I'm netting it. There's all this brown bunch of weed on the front of the lure. I'm going, no way. You know, but obviously the flatheads still do hit it. But I definitely not recommend it.
But the fish will still sit in those areas when that.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because they've got to feed. They're in there sitting there feeding. But when you get that weed that's floating all through the water, that's snot weed all through the water, a lot of brown stuff just goes past you. That's the days you don't get many flatties. They just don't like it. It's in their eyes or wherever it might be.
There's a lot of it up at Tippers last week.
Oh, was there? Yeah.
Green still. So
Yeah, okay.
so
So the snot weed, yeah, sorry mate.
Are you talking about
Cornflake as well, and snot weed, yeah, both of it. When you get that cornflake weed, do you find they switch off a bit on that as well? The water's generally really salty when it's.
I learned a very hard lesson in a comp.
Yep.
Smacking over fish in the pre-fish when
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Everything looked perfect.
Yep.
The water was still clear,
Yep.
but all that particle was all through it.
Yep.
I spent half the comp there and almost don't notice.
They switched off, right? Yeah, that's correct. So anything, they love clear water. Those flatties love clear water. Or they love that sort of greeny water that's clear, but it's a bit greeny colour.
I suppose it would be a bit like us being in a real dusty environment without
Correct.
a mask on, right?
Yeah, well, their eyes are above their head getting smashed. They obviously got eyebrows, I don't know, but they don't like dirty, snotty water. Yeah.
So with dirty water, Dougie, is it sort of not necessarily sort of sort of for me, you think clear water and like it's where it's say up at the pin when you get it nice and clear and that, and then you get it where it's that discolour where you can't really see that far into it. But then also I've had times where there's like say snot weed in there and the dirt sort of particles and stuff floating around. Is that more so the dirty water?
No, the dirty water's like when it's brown.
Yeah.
If you got water that's got a little bit of stuff in it, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still fishable. But when you get that dirty water, if you get a lot of rain, guys and girls, and the water's full on dirty, you need to find a pocket of clear water, which is generally at high tide up on the bank somewhere, or towards the bar.
Yeah. So dirty water's pretty much that brown.
They just don't like it. And the other trouble is when we get big tides, and we've had rain, and then it finally starts to clear up, and then we get a full moon or a new moon and get big tides, and you go out in the morning, and it hasn't been raining for a week, and the water's so dirty. It's because the big tide brings all that silt back into the water column again. So
Dougie, the stuff he's talking about, where you see lots of those little brown.
correct, mate. Correct, and streams of like mossy weed floating in it, coming down in mid-water in the column. Yeah, try and get out of there and find cleaner water, because it's on your lures the time. Even casting, it's a pain in the backside. You get glugs of weed. Sorry.
And in this like colder season, would they still be down the river a bit? They won't be like up at Tippers?
Right now?
Bigger ones.
Yes, the bigger ones, like I say, at this time of the year, they're starting to get together, but they're all over. It's lucky dip. They're all over the joint. Yeah, but they are moving from up the rivers everywhere, heading towards the entrances. They're going to spawn and maybe even this moon coming up now, this weekend. Is it this weekend? I think it is. And then obviously September and October. And then they go back up the rivers again and disappear. November's about the end of it, sort of thing. If that makes sense.
So we had a quite funny one though in there, just casting, low tide casting up into the shallows. And
Yep.
it was around that sort of, it was in January actually. They
Yep.
weren't real big fish, but
Yep.
sort of like 50s to 60s.
Oh, that's all right.
We got 24 in like an
Yeah.
hour and a half.
Yeah. You will
And
get.
obviously we just schooled up and maybe
Yeah.
still spawning.
It's
but
probably spawned. I was still on the moon. Like go back to Wilson Elite comps ago, which is back in June. Which is only, I've never seen so many big fish being caught
Yeah.
in that time of the year ever. But they must have come down early and had an early spawn.
Both rounds.
Both rounds, exactly right, Dave. Both rounds.
Doug, if you're trolling along and you're in the boat, you're a couple of guys, you both hit fish, do you boat your fish and just carry on, or do you loop back and go straight back over that spot?
I'll keep going down that run a bit further, hoping to get a bit more. But if it's peters out to not much in the next sort of 500 metres or 400 metres, depends how long it is.
Yep.
I'll go back around and just concentrate in that area because they will be schooled up there on bait, or they could be just on that little point I'm talking about, or if it might be underwater. Yeah, held there for some reason, correct.
You do just go pretty much well up, so you keep going.
I'll keep going to where I want to go, where my destination is. So another thing too, folks, is if you are getting fish casting in one area, say you're casting soft bass, not about tonight, but if you are, try and mark that area on that drift, because you're going to be drifting along with the current, right? Or you're working into the current with the electric, whatever it may be. Wherever you're getting a few more than one fish, mark that area, mark that area, mark that area. Then when you do a trawl run, work your rod as much as you can in that area, because you'll get fish, definitely, and you get a lot more trawling because it's a lot quicker. You're at the spot real quick, the next spot real quick. Yeah. And vice versa. If you catch them trawling, mark it for the casting. It works both ways. Okay, so that's about it on the lures. Any questions on the lures at all? Oh, there's one other lure. I was talking before about micro mullets. Now, we used to sell micro mullets, but old mate doesn't want to sell them to tackle shops in Australia anymore. He sells them direct. The great lures, though. But there is this other new company out called Silly Fish. Has anyone used these yet? They are really good. Unfortunately, I've already sold lots of. I haven't got all the colours there at the moment. This colour here is a UV colour. It is extremely good. Do you all know what UV is? So UV is like it like lights up. So if I put the torch there, can you all see that?
Yeah.
If it's dark, if I turn the light off, it's even more enhanced. But UV is like it lights up. So as we were saying before, do you use UV over normal things? Yes, I do. This one here has a UV little orange thing underneath it, but the rest of the lure is not UV. Every lure is different. That lure there, the UV's on the, if you can see it there, on the bottom. Probably can't see because I haven't got the torch turned on. There you go. You can see that there. Okay, I'll just try and show you what I mean by UV. And really UV, okay. This is why these things work so good. Has anyone used the shake and dance lures yet at all from S-Tackle? Probably shake and dance. They're one of the best shads you'll get at the moment as well. This one here is a super UV, so see it there, right? Can you see? Oh, no, torch is off. Can you see that at all?
Yeah.
So it's very, 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 very lit up. If I turn that light off, it'll be like a disco ball. But I'll pass this around actually, you can have a look at yourselves. I'll just get the torch off whoever has it though. That's UV black on this one. So when something's UV, it generally changes to like an unusual greeny sort of colour, okay? So it can be white, but it goes like green. But if you put the light on something else, it doesn't do anything at all. So these two here are both UV. I'll find something that's not. And you'll see this lure here is not at all. That one is. Okay, that lure there's got a UV bib, believe it or not. This one here, little Rapala. I'll pass those three around, play with the torch on the way around. Don't forget to turn it on, and they're good. But then get back to this silly fish. Okay, so this guy here has done a lure very similar to the micro mullet, but bigger proportion. Micro mullets are really good for trawling because you can flick the weed off them no matter what the rod. they just flick the weed off and they don't get much weed on them. Why is that so? Because the bib is like sort of loose in it. Does that make sense? The join's loose. It's not a tight join, and it seems to be able to just shimmy the weed off. It does a lot of this sort of action as well as this sort of action. These lures are particularly the same sort of style. So I'll pass this around as well. A couple of different colours there.
What sort of depth do they run?
They're really good, about 10 feet max, and they're really good in that sort of, like, easy swim 2 metres. Yeah.
I see the shake and bake says 1.5 to 3 metres.
Yeah, that's correct too.
Gets down to
Yeah,
there.
that's right. So you need 2 lots of lures in your arsenal of trolling lures, okay? Keep them all small, shad style, or even smaller, like the tango shad. Have your shallow diving ones that get down to about 1 metre, or 1.5 max, but 1 metre is better. They're for up in the flats, they're in the shallows, top of the banks, edges of the banks in the shallows. And then once that tide drops off the banks, you need to bring out your 1.5 to 2.5 metre ones. And you're trawling in that, as I said before, 5 to 8 feet or 5 to 10 feet, which is 1.5 to about 3 metres or 2.5 metres. If you've got 2 lots of lures that'll do that, that's good. Colours, I'd be going definitely browns or dark red, sort of reddy brown colours. I'd be going definitely orange, I'd be going definitely pink, and a green. And those 4 colours pretty well cover everything. Does that make sense? So brownie reds, green, bright green, or green chartreuse, white, whatever, as long as it's green. Pink can be pink, white, pink, black, pink, grey, as long as it's pink. And what was the 4th one? I'll probably have a clear shrimp colour, just for those really clear days, with the stripes on it, of some type. And if you've got those 4 or 5 colours in both styles, you're set. So you're looking at probably 8 to 10 lures.
And Doug, are you a fan of the little quick hitches that you can use? Like, if you
Yeah.
got 5 or 6
Okay.
you want to try,
Yeah.
you mentioned
Okay.
colours
Yep.
and then depths.
Yep.
Are you a fan of
So
those?
the fast attach system, which is these here, are really good, only if the lure doesn't have a split ring on it. If you put it on a split ring, it's extremely hard to put on. Extremely hard.
On the tango shade, for example, you would take the split ring off and then run.
Correct. Get rid of all my split rings. You don't need it because this is another ring on there, right? So,
Yeah, try and get it on.
oh,
It's not easy.
you can't do it. So if you take the split ring off, it's just like that. But then some lures, the bib is like that, and the unfortunately they put the ring that's attached in the thing. It's recessed, correct, and you can't get it on either,
I
right?
haven't been good enough
So,
to get on a tango,
yes.
but can you try?
It's a tangos. I can't remember. There's one going around here somewhere. I can't remember if it's above the bib. If it's above the bib, the loop, it'll work. If it's got a sunken one with a split ring on it, it's very hard to put on. Yeah, just remember that too. But great idea if you want to switch colours. You just like, oh, so that one doesn't work. I'll put this one on.
It doesn't affect the
Not at all. No, they swim beautifully on there. They're great on soft plastics
The
as
only
well.
downside I've found is sometimes when you've got that finer weed,
Yeah,
it can get caught up.
yeah, it does. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and when you go to rip the weed off, you rip half your thumb off as well on the tag. Perfection loop or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so like a loop knot. So a granny's knot, go back through the lure, then back through the granny's knot, just a couple of twists, then back through it again. Make sure the loop is really important. When you do a perfection loop or a loop on your hard body lures, make sure the loop's no bigger than a 5-cent piece. All smaller is better. So keep it under the size of a 5-cent piece, not too tiny, but don't make it any bigger. I see people with ones that long on their lure, you know, doesn't work. This lure doesn't swim very good at a lot of reasons. The other day I lost a good fish. It's a golden rule when you're up on those flats this time of the year and the big ones start coming around, because they'll be up in the flats before they're in the deep, okay? So they'll be on the flats now. You must run a little bite trace. So if you all know how to do it, just do an Albright. Albright's the best thing to use. Don't use any other fancy knots. Just use an Albright. So I run 12 pound down to 16. That's my bite trace. My bite trace is about 100 mil long. Okay, and that bite trace is enough, because I don't know how many big fish I caught where you're just doing that and you drop back and spend, oh, I've got the bottom. That's what it feels like, because you ain't going slow, right? And then all of a sudden it'll start pulling or taking off, whatever it may be. and you know it's a big one. So when I do get that fish in and net it, and the first thing I do is I look, a lot of time when it's out in the water, I see it first. I go, oh my gosh, there's just a line hanging in its mouth. How far down is it? You know, my lead is only quite small. The light's on your phone there, look. You see, don't flatten your battery. It's okay. So just make sure that you've got at least 10 centimetre bite trace, because they will take it down 10 centimetres. Okay?
Of what weight?
About 16 or even 20 if you're a bit worried. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever caught a fish that's over 80 with the lure hanging out from its mouth, ever. It's always the whole thing's engulfed.
And Dougie, you keeping that short so you don't get that loop in the fluorocarbon in?
That's right. I'm keeping it short so it keeps the lure in tow, if that makes sense. And then my 12 up there is keeping it swimming nicely. But you can't do too long either way. And the maximum, like Stewie runs like a metre, a rod length, 1.5 metres, 2 metres on his leaders. I make sure mine's only about 1 metre overall. So if I've got a flatty over 1 metre, I'll take the chance the tail might brush the braid off, but that's wishful thinking. So most of the time I'm safe. It's within the size of the flatty, maybe 1.2 max. I just like a short leader. Yeah. Okay. And on your leader to your braid, like if you can learn to do an FG knot, that's the best knot. If you can learn to do that. FG, love, to braid to mono, by far the best. If not, just an Albright's good, but do it. Make sure you check it. You must check your knots. And what I mean by that is, don't cut yourself, but wrap your hand a couple of times around the mono, a couple of times around your leader, a couple of times around your braid, and just slow stretch, pull. If it comes undone, you need to redo it again. Okay.
Small bit of PVC, small bit
Yeah,
of pipe,
yeah, correct.
full tube.
Okay, good idea. Yeah, good. We sell the fancy version down there, but that'll work. Because hands will get cut. They will get cut, mate, on an 8-pound braid or 10-pound braid.
I have that little tool, it works really well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's correct. They've got like the rubber stuff on it, like the gentleman's saying. Yeah, and they're very good.
Or 2 wooden spoons.
Okay, 2 wooden spoons, that'll work too. Yeah, you got to have something. You got to check your knots, really important. Because when you get that big one on, you need everything to help you. Okay.
What pound rod are you using?
When I'm trawling, I used to use like 2 to 6 pounds, super light. But now, I'd use a 3 to 5 would be my minimum, and probably 4 to 6 kilo would be the optimum. So the ones I use now for doing everything are now also my trawl rods, as well as my casting rods. Yeah.
What was that, sorry? You leave?
So just the rod length, the rod weight, sorry. Yeah, so trawling rods like a 3 to 5, 2 to 4 would be I used to use 1 to 3. 2 to 4 would be the minimum, 3 to 5 is good, perfect actually, and 4 to 6 is heavy you want to use for trawling. Yeah.
Jumping back on the knots again, the metal clip's okay for throwing swim baits out? Or
Perfect. Stewie doesn't use it that much, he uses more the perfection loop, yep. He should be here in a minute to talk about it, but yeah.
But just for multiple colours and things like that, and changing.
Yeah, that's right. So to have that clip on the end is so much easier, and it doesn't affect the fishing at all. I believe it doesn't do anything at all. And the lure swims beautifully on it, so they're a great thing. You just got to make sure you get the right one to put it on. Most of your hard bodies are pretty good, the casting, because they have a little out the front. It's not on the bib, it's normally at the front of the lure, the wire, so it's easy to put on. Yeah.
So what's better, spring-on clips or the twist-on?
Twist-on clips. So the spring-on, which is the American one, the speed clips they're called, they are really good, but they're a little bit hard to push in right at times, and you got to get the perfect angle to get it right. This other one's much quicker. Spin-on one's easier. Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's all right. And they come in. I'll pass this around actually. Size 1 or 2. Actually, I put a lure on here. It's got sharps. I'll put on one of these. This is a duo. Actually, I put on this is a Tide minnow. Pass this around with the clip on it. Please be careful of the hooks. They're so sharp. So if I'm casting, if I'm trolling little ones, I'll pass this around with it. I'd use a size 1. If I'm casting the bigger ones, I'm using a size 2. Why use a size 2? One, they're easier to put on because they're a bit bigger and the wire's a bit thicker on these type lures. The Stuart talk about. But 2 is they marry up better by far. So putting it on, a bit hard for you guys to see, but you've got to hold that tight in your hand. Don't let it pivot in your hand. You've got to hold it like that. Use a pair of pliers if you want. Yep, that's fine. And you've got to twist the lure around that, not twist that around the lure. Does that make sense? Yeah. But in this case, I'm going to do it because it's in the packet still. I can't. That's it. So that's it. It's on. So to take it off, it's the same deal. You hold it flat. I'll take it out of the box. It's much easier. And you just take it off like so. Put it on. It's on. Okay. On the box, it's very hard, but I've got to put it back in the box because the hooks are sharp for you guys. But if you want to play with it, please be careful of the hooks. You can see how it works there. Thank you.
So just coming back onto the trolling, with the electric motor, it's handy to drive a course, and I can go all these ins and outs.
It is so good for that.
And then,
but you
then
need
I
to.
would drive the electric to take me there.
Yep.
And at the same time, I'd be trolling or throwing.
Yes.
But you're saying if I was to run the main motor just at idle, it's going to be throwing out that noise, which would that be enough a distraction from the electric shooting them away as opposed to being...
I don't think the electric shoots them away, just the other one seems to attract them. And I don't know if it's because the propeller's turning or Dave said he just turns the motor on, the noise.
The reason,
Yeah.
the reason so I would troll with the main motor hands down
Yep.
time and time again.
Yep.
The only reason I'll troll with the electric instead of the main motor is because I can't get the speed of the troll where I want it.
Okay, yeah. And okay, that's a good, I haven't talked about that yet. That's the next thing.
It's going, and also you're saying it's best to troll with the current.
They sit into the current, so you troll front of the head, they turn around, and it's a lot easier for them to nail the fish swimming with the current. If you go past them against the current, they won't see it till you've gone past, and then they've got to try and catch up to you against the current. They're lazy, correct?
Easier to control my speed if I'm going into the current. But
Yep.
if I'm going,
Yeah, that's correct.
if I'm going with the current.
That's right. That's what I'm saying before. Sometimes you go a little bit faster to get it working
Yeah,
right.
it'd be easier to control that with the electric.
With the current?
With the current.
In and out of gear. Like,
Yeah, in our
honestly,
gear. That's right.
If you're wanting to learn more about trolling, leave the electric alone.
Yeah.
Just troll on the main
Yeah,
motor.
correct. Yeah.
But just go in and out of gear. Like
Yeah.
If the boat's going too quick, go to neutral.
Yeah. So some motors troll. Like I had a 225 in my 680 Haynes, and when I did troll with it, it was extremely slow. It's actually better than my 90 I use on my boat now. I've got a Mercury now, and it's like clunk in the gear, and they're quite aggressive on Mercs are quite aggressive. They're not a slow idle like a Susie or a Yami or whatever, E-Tech.
I had a 450 top ender that had the Yami on it with
Yep.
the troll control. Going.
Oh, yeah, okay,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
got me back into trolling.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good. It's easy.
I went
Easy.
down and
Yeah.
speed down.
Yeah.
My current boat's got a 115 E-Tech on the back.
Yeah,
It's too quick.
yeah, it's too quick, yeah.
So it's just,
Yeah.
it's like anything, the more
Yeah.
you do with it,
Yeah,
you'll start catching some fish.
Yeah.
And then you'll work it out.
you work it out. So on my boat's the same when I'm going with the current, so just the general current, or so there's no current. It does about 3 point something Ks. I use kilometres now because I can get down more finer on and seeing it 1 or 2 knots or 3 knots. It's a lot harder to get that perfect speed. So you use kilometres an hour.
5 to 5 kilometres an hour, something like that.
Yeah, 5 max. But
5
two,
max, yeah.
4's 2.5 to 4 is like the optimum sort of thing. But when I go with the current, it has a habit of getting up to about 5.5 or 6. So I'll pull it back into neutral, and then my speed will go from 5.5 down to about 2.5 or 3, and then I kick it back into gear again. When it's dropping back, I tend to work my rod a fair bit more.
And Dougie, you said like you watch your sounder like a hawk. You have to have your speed on the.
Well, it's on the sounder too. Yeah, that's right.
If you're not looking at that.
That's right. Very important.
Yeah.
Because you don't realise you're doing 7 Ks an hour. You go, when am I catch any fish? And the spot was right back there somewhere. Yeah, it's really important.
So Doug,
Yep.
the gent here, is it David? Sorry?
Oh, sorry? David.
Yeah, Doug and David. So do you fish alone much though? Because I find...
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a second rod out? And that's
Oh, yeah, always. 2 rods, 3 rods.
I have 3.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's where I find sometimes if
Yeah.
I've got weed on there,
Yeah.
maneuver
I know.
is
Yeah. Are you using
Electric.
Are you using that keeps you in line all the time? It's like it's like your mate driving for you.
Yeah, I set
Yeah.
direction on
Okay, that's a genuine excuse and probably a good one, but you should learn. You will learn to drive the motor
Yeah,
with two rods out the back, definitely maybe three.
yeah,
But when you get a lot of weed, you can only use sometimes one.
yeah,
Yeah.
control 3, I
Yeah.
that one directly.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, okay. How many people here have tiller steer? Quite a few of you do. So tiller steers are, if you've got a lock on the steering, and that's good. It's a little bit stiff to turn when you want to turn and go around different areas. But by far better to have that than not to have it, because a lot of time you let go of it and the boat goes around like that, okay? Very painful. And then you run over your line, you're trying to fight a fish and you realise you're not in neutral, actually in forward still. And lots of things happen. So in that case, try and somehow damper your steering and make it tighter, if you can make it tighter. There are stories of people put buckets at the back of the boat to slow their speed down. Don't do that, it's all tails.
Speaking of that neutral, if you hook up, are you immediately thrown in and you're
Yeah, I do.
running when-
That's really important too. Now, if you got two of you in the boat, okay, and you hook up and you pull it back to neutral, the other guy work your rod. Don't just put your rod down, grab the net for him. The fish is still out there. He can wait. Work your rod, get your fish on, okay? That's when you get a lot of the fish. Because his mates, they follow each other. And his mates will then swim across and jump on that guy's lure. And a lot of time you get two fish, or three fish even, at that same time. Yeah, double hookup, that's right. Does that make sense? There's so many little tricks, but if you take all this into account, you're going to catch fish, I'll tell you now. Yeah.
If you were by yourself there and you've got 2 hours playing with one and steering the boat and wearing yourself out in about 15 minutes,
Yeah.
but something came on,
Yeah.
if I did have my electric down,
Yeah.
I could put it on spot lock
You could.
and stay
But-
in that area, do that.
Yep.
and then
Make sure you got all your rods in there before you do that though, because if the current will bring your lure down and get wrapped around the motor while you're trying to fight the other fish around. So yeah, just be careful on that scenario.
No, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. That's right. You're better off drifting with it, fight the fish. The only hassle you get is when it gets windy, but you don't get to hit the edge of the bank. So if it's windy and I've got a decent fish on, I'm on my own, I'll put my motor, while I'm fighting the fish, I'll quickly put my motor down as deep as I can get it down. Because that wind's going to blow me into the bank. I don't want to get stuck up shallow on the bank, right? At the wind. And it's quite often I've fought fish, my boat's on the bank and I'm still fighting the fish out there, you know, because the wind's been strong. So if your motor's down, it's going to save you from going another 30 centimetres shallower.
That's my last 2 flatties at Crab Island. I've hit them both in the same spot, and 73 and
Good fish.
I think the other one was slightly bigger than that.
Yeah,
same
okay.
spot.
Yeah, same
But
spot, yep.
after, by the time I caught it and got it in the boat,
Yeah,
then I had to get out of the boat and push us off.
yeah,
the
correct.
shallows
So
to get back
put
in.
your motor down as far as you can if you got tilt on,
Yeah.
electric tilt.
If you're sometimes by yourself, do you have one lure
Shorter,
closer and one further?
100%, mate. Yeah, yeah. You got the chance of them getting caught up because all you got to do is reach down and wipe your hands from the fish before, and next minute you've gone over that way a bit and you got both tangled up.
Which
Yeah.
one would you run close to?
The one on my side. The one on my
One
side.
you're holding.
Yeah, one I'm holding. Yeah,
Set that one first.
yeah. And I can keep an eye on that one and see the weed a bit easier. It's easy to look around at the back a bit further. Yeah.
You run 2 at a time, so one doing
I was-
thing and one you're playing.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I get the chance, I'll run 3. But not very often. It's got to be clean water and not much weed if I run 3.
And
Yeah.
Dougie, would you
Like
run,
up at Coomba Lake's a good spot for that.
would you run that other rod in something like a snap lock type holder?
Yeah, so keep it low as you can in the deeper water, but if I'm fishing in the shallow and the flat stave, I actually have it sticking on the rod. Like I tell people never troll in that position in the broad water, but you do on the flats because it keeps it up just above the weed most of the time. Less weed on it.
So you have not
Yeah.
having to muck around with it.
That's right. We'll get Stu, if you're here, mate, come up, buddy. Sorry. I just want to quickly tell you a scenario trolling 2 rods. One time I was up on that flat where I told you guys you should go tomorrow and have a look. And I was trolling 2 lures and the rod I'm using, I'm working, I give it a bit of a whack and I only dropped back a little bit and I went to pull it forward and I thought I've whacked into the mud, it's stuck. So my other rod at the same time has got a fish on it. I put that on the rod holder, and there wasn't much wind or current. This is my older boat, so it's quite slow. So I'm tickling forward. This other one's out there. There's just lines just peeling off it. I loosen the drag back maybe 1 or 2 turns, peeling off. I got the other fish. It's only about 48 or something. It's only a small one. Grabbed the other rod out of the rod holder. I'm jerking, trying to get it off. Couldn't get it off, and I thought, oh, geez. And then all of a sudden it started going, and then it went through the water. It's only a metre deep, not even. And I saw the woof of the bottom, because it's fairly clear water. And I thought, oh, it's a bloody stingray. So I'm trying to nearly break my lure off to get it off, right? And then after a little bit, I thought I'd roll a hook so I'd get it close so I can take the lure back maybe. And then this monster flathead went past, and it was like, this is the only time in my life I've actually seen what I believe is over a metre. 98's my biggest. This thing is much, much bigger. And I just like sunk, because I've remembered back how much I did to it before that, because what have I done to my hooks? What have I done to this? What have I done to that? And consequently, I killed it. I killed my lure. But anyhow, went past me once, twice. It's out there. I've got the net ready. Everything's ready. And then I just felt ting. I went, oh no, because you feel when you got a big fish on and they fight hard, you'll feel something give, which is something. It's ripped its mouth a bit, or it's the failure on the tackle side. Mine was the tackle side because I gave it such a hard time stuck on the bottom, but I thought it was the bottom, right? Because those big ones sit on it like a rock. Have anyone ever hooked a real big one here? Or you've hooked the 90.
Exactly when I was trolling.
Exactly, yeah.
I thought I got a
Exactly right, matey. And until you see it, and in the water they look even bigger, but when you caught a few 90s, you realise this is a monster. And it swam past me, I was out there, and I felt ting, and then I just like trying to be, and when you're trawling, it's really important to run a fairly light drag. You do not want to, of that scenario, you do not want to do what I might have done that day, but make it too tight. And when the fish does those big head shakes, the big fish, they'll just rasp your line, and even your 16-pounder will fray away. Okay, so anyhow, I went to do it. It was there, and it just let go. And when I wound it in, it was actually a Jackson lure. The back treble was good. There was no back treble. I might have lost that in it at the start when I was giving it heaps of jerk. And then the front hook, which was only one of the hooks left, the other two had snapped off, was bent out nearly straight. So that was all I had left, was one prong that was nearly straight on that monster fish. So when you think you got a stag, it's maybe not a snag. Yeah, that's right. But apart from that, there's not much else I can really tell you guys. That's all the secrets of trawling. Is there any questions you got on that at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, please ask.
How do the old, I'm old school from like
Yeah.
Dado's bait and tackle years ago.
Yeah, cool, mate.
Up in Noosa.
Yeah, good.
So the Tilsons.
Yep. Still work. Still work. Tilson bass, great lure.
Sea lures,
Yeah, yeah.
that sort of stuff,
Yep.
Same sort of colours and same
Yeah, yeah.
shapes and stuff, it's like,
You just can't get them anymore. Or they're hard to get. You can get them out there, yeah. Yep.
but I mean, well, like,
But if you got them, mate, use them. They're fine. Perfect.
Same deal.
Yep.
Same thing. I'm
Exactly the same thing.
What you're doing now.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
And the sea lures are really good because they've got that curved bib. They really waddle the lure. They're really good flatty lures, mate. Yeah, the old original wood ones I'm talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
Dominic,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's right. And the Tilson bass, they're now made of plastic, but they used to be made of balsa. They are really good lures too. And the Tilson fingerling as well. Yeah.
McGraths, all of them.
Yeah, no, great lures. And the McGrath's the typical shad type lure. They're great. Yeah. No, but I'd be scared of losing them. Yeah. You got to sacrifice. Sorry.
On that high tide, is crab a good trolling spot?
It's not too bad. You don't get many up on the sand flats of crab. You got to go more or less those drains and fish the weed edges and stuff.
More casting?
Definitely more casting. But trawling at low tide is really good. If you can find the deeper water off the banks and just trawl those little Olympic-sized pool ponds. It's a weed though.
Yeah, up that sort of northern,
Pin's better.
up that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly talk about trolling spots and I'm done, mate. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And Stuart's going to talk about hard bodies. Just on your map, on this map, okay? A lot of these are casting spots for Stewie as well. So how many people here only fish the Broadwater? A few of you? Okay, if you only fish the border, especially for the kids, because they only got little tinnies, whatever it may be, those spots on the right-hand side of the page, marked in red, which is the banks, particularly down the bottom of the page here, that's Crab Island just at the top here, right at the bottom there. So they're the drains I'm talking about for the young fella over there. In those drains, wherever those red marks are, is your troll runs. And try trolling those runs, okay? A great area, has anyone fished the Browns Inlet over where the boats are all hiding in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, no, inside, you've got to go inside. So it's a bit the same scenario like that flat. You got areas that are a metre deep that might drop down to 1.5. They're in that 1.5 area. Yeah. So that's this area here. It's called Browns Inlet. There's some big fish coming there, Stewie.
Yeah.
Trawling. It's a great area for trawling.
And so that's where you
Up just here, look.
that's where you
Browns
see
Inlet,
use
yeah.
your sounder to sort of work your way around.
Correct. Yeah, you got to find, and as I said, mark all those deeper areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of funny, we fished there for the first time, first cast, chucked out, had my bail open because I was doing something.
Yeah.
Closed it up, wound it up. Like, whacked it once, slack, wound it up, didn't hook it properly. Decent flathead, 60 plus I reckon.
Yeah, good. Didn't get it though. No, there's plenty in there.
Didn't set the hook properly.
Well, that's the Broadwater area of town. Over at Efron's a good area. Stu does a lot of trawling
Yeah.
over at Efron.
Yeah.
On the east side of Efron, okay? Across the front of the units there. One end to the other sort of thing. Up on the top, on the shallow areas at high tide, as the tide drops off, fish that edge. That's about 5 to 10 foot deep before it drops down to like 15 or 20.
If you're a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
pressed for time and you are down this end and you just want to learn the general way to troll, Browns, as you were saying, Dougie, is pretty good because it's all tide. There's no real drains in there. The water just
You
goes
can go
up and
any
down.
way. You can go any way.
Yeah, it
that
doesn't
way,
really matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
You learn like what weed feels like on your lure, which is quite important. It might be very subtle or it might be a lot of like a big clump. You need to know if there's one string on there, you need to take it off. So yeah, it's a good little spot just to cut laps and learn a fair bit pretty quick.
Okay, and then where I was talking about today for your fishing up towards the end of Tipplers there is sort of in this area here. Okay, if you can all see that, so down the back there, guys. But that like boomerang shape in the middle here, the page, that's the area. Never fails that right behind Tullen. That's right.
So
Yeah.
up around like the bedrooms there, would you troll in that area or not?
Yeah, no, bedrooms is a really good troll.
Yeah.
In the entrance where it first comes off Tipler's Channel,
Yeah.
all the way along those green, reds and then it goes around the greens.
Yeah.
Just troll the edges there, both
Troll on
sides.
the edges, yeah.
Yeah, great troll there. Yep,
cool.
yep. Okay, and this all those spots, just try them all. Yeah, give it a crack. Okay. Stewie, are there any questions on trolling at all? Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to do. Sorry, Stewie, one last thing. Just when you are fishing, make sure you've got some type of boga grip. Every flathead you catch, it doesn't matter how big it is, you put that in before you even touch it. Put its bottom lip, not the top, the bottom one, and just put a lip grip on it, okay? Next thing, if you, I didn't bring, this one. If you got a fish that's under 40, you're not going to keep it or anything you want to throw back, this is even better tool. So this one here is a hook gun. And what happens is, especially on little lures, because you will get probably a hook in your finger one time or another, unfortunately. And we've had lots. But when you've got that spiky little bugger flicking everywhere and there's two trebles going around as well, you just actually don't even touch this, hold your one wrap on your leader, grab it, the hook, the treble, and then just flip him over. It flips straight off in the water without even touching. No spikes, no nothing. He's happy, you're happy. It's really easy, okay? Or Stu uses a lot of this sort of stuff. Like
Yeah, I'll just use pliers.
little pliers, skinny
Yeah.
little pliers. Okay. They
You
work
don't
well
break
too.
hooks, you don't bend them.
Yeah, but they still can spike you though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've all got one of these things in your bag. They're a little zinger. Okay. These things are the best thing ever. So they're like a retractable, okay? Clip that onto your shirt or somewhere on the boat where you need your scissors all the time. Because as you all know, you cut the line and then you go to grab your scissors again. Oh, where to put my scissors? I don't know where they are. They're somewhere. Could have fallen, put them on the side of the boat and you've hit a wave and it's just fallen in the drink. If it's there, on there all the time, it's just so good. So use that a lot, okay? Another thing to have in your boat, on your rigging at home, whichever it may be, little split ring pliers, okay? There's little tiny ones, which we've got downstairs, up to this one here. This one here is probably the best tool ever I've seen invented. It'll do from a little tiny tango shad to a stick bait that big for GTs. Does 0 to 9s.
Really?
Yeah, really, really good. Expensive though compared to other ones, but really good tool. But otherwise, get yourself a couple of different sizes in the pliers. Because we've got the little tiny ring ones and then you've got the bit bigger size, which is like your hard body lures Stu's going to talk about. I think that's about all the tools. Just another thing too, with the little lures, they are really hard to stow because their hooks are so tiny and they spike you even just get them out of the tackle box. I don't have any left at the moment, but we do this in a couple of different brands, but that's like your lures sit in there, right? They sit on that angle, so they're easy to grab out. There's a smaller version we do that's about half that size. You just put the little ones in there. I put 2 per one, so it holds about 20 in a little box. This will hold about 10 big ones as well, or 15 big ones, a bit bigger size. Easy, and of course there's factor I talked about earlier. Another thing, when you're hooking up your lures and you're traveling in the boat, don't ever hook it up second, third, fourth guide. Always, if you've got no hook attachment on your rod, hook it on the bottom guide, but don't put it on the ceramic ring. Put it on the frame, okay? And you'll damage it, that's right. So always on the frame of the guide. Otherwise, you can buy yourself some of these sort of things. You hook them onto your rod, below the grip or around the grip. Always try to hook your lure down around the reel or even lower if you can. I'll pass these around. Great little thing to hook your lures onto. And that's about all I've got to tell you. Okay. Yes.
If you do these trial runs again, look, I've got the green one with you, your beauty, and nothing's happening. Like, how often do you change the lures? I mean, I think take a box out,
yeah.
don't use that.
Good question. Would I change lures before I change place? Is probably the better question. Because like if my lure's not working, I know I don't want to do that work. I'd probably get out of there. Because I'd say it's more the place more than the lure.
Okay, so you have the same place, green, yellow, red, orange,
yeah.
Have 3 rods out with 3 different lures.
Well, you could do that too. Whichever's working. It can be the shape, it could be the action, it could be whatever. If no one's got a fish on that run, I'd probably maybe give it one more go maybe, but I'd be out of there and go to the next spot before I change the lure, mate. Would you say the same, Stu?
Yeah, I think you're always going to put on the lure that you've caught the most fish on last
Correct,
time or whatever,
correct.
so you know it works.
Yeah.
There's going to be some days that the pink one doesn't work and the orange one that your mate's got on works. Yeah, so.
Yeah, murky water's okay, but not. But you got to nearly bump them in the head as you're driving past. Yeah, you bump. And same with casting. A lot of time you cast and you do that first lift, and it's dunk. It's already on there. You've landed next to him, but otherwise you got to try and bring it past them to get them to hit it. Yeah. Okay. That's it, guys. You're happy with the trolling part of it? Okay, Stewie's up. You're up, Stu. How you going, Stu?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, good, mate.
Good, mate.
So have you guys, has many people in the crowd thrown big hard bodies for flatties and stuff like that before? Given it a crack. Dave, you've done a bit.
Like the one that went around sort of before with the clip.
Yeah. So it was kind of really big a couple of years ago or a few years ago now with big soft plastics. Then the soft plastic craze kind of dried up and it went to hard bodies and it kind of kept going. There's new hard bodies every year, different noise, different size, different shape, different action. Is it a way to catch heaps and heaps of fish? Sometimes it is, but it's definitely a way to catch bigger fish. So if you're fishing, say a drain or fishing on the edge and stuff like that, and your mate's fishing soft plastics and you're catching a few, they all seem to be the little ones, the best way to wean out that bigger 1 or 2 out of that school is to throw a bigger lure. Big fish eat big lures, but small fish eat them too. Dougie, if you want to add anything. But
I said earlier, big fish eat small lures too.
Yeah, well, they do.
Trawling, they do.
They're very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
So,
I'll add one thing to that.
Yeah.
We've got a spot we fish pretty early in the push.
Yeah.
And we fished it for, say, 6 months, throwing plastics all the time.
Yeah.
We put someone else in the boat with us.
Yeah.
We were hardly catching fish.
Yeah.
They pulled out the tide minnow, took 12 fish in the boat on one drift.
Which
Yeah.
is that lure that went around before.
So
Yeah.
for us, that was a real eye-opener because we
Yeah.
usually catch a lot of fish on that bank.
Yeah.
And that day we couldn't get them on plastics, and
Yeah.
he threw the hard body and just smashed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Un-
crazy.
Unfortunately, there always has to be someone that sacrifices themselves to doing this. They might not catch heaps one day, but they catch them all the next day. So, look, it's one of those things. I think it's a really good way of prospecting because it is quite a fast way of fishing. We'll go through some actions in a second, but I think the biggest thing to take out of this is it used to always be you only fish these big hard bodies up on top of a flat on a high tide. It's not. It's a lure that you can use everywhere. There's always going to be a shallower section. Some of those sections are too deep to fish at high tide. You've got to fish them at low tide. So you're just going to have to be mindful of what lure you tie on and why you tie it on. So you might pull up to a spot and you look in the water. The first thing I do is look in the water. If there's all little bait, like 1 or 2 inches long, I wouldn't throw something this big traditionally. I'd throw 1 or 2 inch plastics, or I'd troll or that type of thing. If you pull up to a spot and there's gar and mullet jumping around and flicking everywhere and every bait's like, say, 6 to 8 inches, I'm not going to throw something little. I'm going to throw something that looks like the bait in that area. So you've really got to try to match the size of the bait to the size of the lure, and that's going to give you that next step up, that next little bit of an advantage. In terms of combos, I suppose, Dougie, you went through trolling combos and stuff before.
Yeah, the size of the rods.
Yeah. So traditionally, this stuff, because we are casting a lot heavier weight, we're working a lure with a lot more resistance. We're using a lot heavier rod. So Dougie fishes 4,000s. I still fish a 2,500, but on quite a heavy rod. It's a lot stiffer in the tip. So unlike the trolling stuff that has those really small little fine wire trebles that we're worried about pulling out or bending or breaking, these ones here generally have 2 to 3 trebles on them and they're quite large. So will you bend them? Look, you probably can if you go really, really hard and it's hooked in an awkward part of the mouth. But generally, you've got more than one set of the trebles in the fish. So they bite it and they swim away and you get them caught on this gill plate or something like that. So I think the other thing that you've got to take into consideration is your drag setting. So again, we've got quite a large treble. You need to get that in there. Flatties, if you look at them, they're all bone. They're very hard mouth. They're not really trolling. They might just nip at the tail and just kind of mooch over it and just sit on it. This stuff here, they're feeding hard. You're working your lure a lot harder. They hit it pretty hard with a lot of aggression. So you're going to sink some hooks in there. Don't be afraid to fish quite firm drag. You need to get that hook in there. Once that hook's in there and it goes for a bit of a run, you can back your drag off. They're never going to snag you on anything. They're not a dirty fighter as such. But just getting that hook in there to start off with is quite important. Dougie, anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, your action, you'll show the actions too.
Yeah, so it depends on what lure I'm using and how deep the water is for your action. Generally, you can get away with 1 or 2 lures that all dive to around about that metre in depth. And you can fish that in, say, 300 mil of water or 1.5 meters. You can change a lot of that depth with the angle of your rod. So if I'm throwing a lure that dives to around that metre and I'm fishing, say, 200 mil of water or 300 mil of water, the boat's kind of sitting on the bottom or I'm just scraping through, I'm throwing into that freshly flooded water as that tide starts to come in, I'll hold my rod tip up very high and I'll still use the same action. I kind of flick it a fair bit and wind pretty quickly.
I'll just pull a bit of line off you and show me. How you do it?
You're not going to move the ceiling, so I can't do it.
Oh, no.
So if I'll hold the rod down. So I hold it like pretty much, say on a 45-degree angle, and I will wind and jig the slack at once. I always try to jig the slack more than move in the lure, if that makes sense. So I'm not kind of ripping and pulling this way and pulling that way. I'll flick slack, and that'll get your lure doing a lot more in a shorter distance. And then obviously if it is a little bit deeper, I'll twitch downwards or to the side. So same action, still bouncing that slack like your jerk baiting for a barra and stuff like that. Sorry?
It's diving deeper.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're holding that rod tip down or to the side, it is going to dive a fair bit deeper. Yeah.
Than up.
Yeah.
The best thing about casting, we both love Stewie especially, but is that you visually see how the lure works with your technique, and then you throw it out and try and make it happen on the day, you know. And every time we do it, the action could be a little bit different on that day. It could change.
Yeah.
It depends how they're feeding. As Stewie said, sometimes they're buried and you don't see them, and other times they're just cruising around and you actually sight cast them and cast out. And that technique on that particular fish might be different to when you don't see them. Yeah, it's all different. But visually, wear Polaroid glasses again, please, and you see everything happen. It's so good when you see a big fish hunting your lure. Scary, actually.
With the Polaroids, do you have a colour you prefer?
I like this grey lens. Grey lens, yeah.
Lens, yeah.
The water's generally fairly clear when you're doing this sort of
Yeah,
fishing because
yeah.
you're fishing the high tide most of the time, or fairly high.
Yeah.
Although Stewie and I did have a session a couple of years ago, we did really well that day, actually going third in the classic on that particular day.
Yeah.
But we were casting hard bodies where we'd not normally cast them, where it dropped off sort of from nothing to about 8 feet, and working down deep, and they were coming up and grabbing the line.
Yeah.
We'd never done that sort of thing before. It's always with the flats, you know.
Yeah,
But we had
a couple of weeks ago, I
yeah.
was sort of jerk baiting the low tide, and same sort of thing. I actually had one, was a 50 sort of come up, and we were probably back of the boat was about 2 metres. It wouldn't have been half the distance from me to you away. And I just said to Brax, I see it's because it does that slow float up, and then bang, just I saw it coming up and that's how it's come up off the bottom.
Yeah, so yeah,
Just sort of hit it.
you got to entice them. Yeah.
And where was that, Dougie? Just out of interest?
I don't know, we've got
Dougie's pretty old. He's probably forgotten about it.
That's our reverse psychology way of saying we don't know.
I was waiting for Lotus Creek.
Do you
No.
used to have 20-pound braid on this?
Nah. So I'm a bit old school. I like thin braid, but I don't necessarily like the ultra thin stuff.
That's 16.
16 braid.
16, yeah. 16, yeah.
I only use like 6.
And what's your leader? 20-pound leader?
20.
Nah.
Mine's 20.
14 or 16. Yeah, a bit lighter.
Stewie, when you talk about 6, are you talking like some of the
Old
few
school.
Like,
Which is like 20 in the Japanese
Yeah,
one.
I just use like suffix 832.
It's probably the
It's
same
6.
thickness as that though.
Yeah.
And so you would use 6-pound suffix for your jerk bait?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Never had a break on a fish. I've had a break on casts and
It's
stuff
strong
like that,
on,
but
yeah.
it's strong
Like,
as.
like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you get on that side.
Yeah. Yeah. So that or like Power Pro or like an older school braid. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Stu, when you're up on the shallows
Yep.
and you're seeing weed and sand,
Yep.
are you throwing up way into the weed and coming back across the sand, or are you positioning your boat and throwing into the sand and coming along the weed edge?
I reckon I know what you're talking about on this one because if you look at the boats, half of them sit on the sand and half of them sit on the weed. Look, it's a hard one. I've done both.
Because they do sit up on the weeds, probably.
Yeah.
Side effects, right? Like they will sit up on top of it, or no?
They will, yeah.
They will.
Yeah, they will. And there's always shorter weed in longer weed. Yeah, there might be different weed in long weed, you know. They'll sit on those little different weedy sections. But I always just try to fish the edge.
Okay.
So like I'll be the one that cruises the middle and pisses everyone off, but I don't really care. So yeah, but look, if you can fish the edge and then you can kind of fan your cast, you can go a metre into the weed that side, metre into the sand that side, and a fish I reckon will swim 2 metres off the weed to eat the lure on the sand if they see it, and vice versa. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fishing the transition really is the most important part.
Yeah, I think it's that structure. Like there's not much structure on a barren yabby flat. So I think you can't really overlook anything. If there's one dead tree on a flat, I'll find it and I'll fish it. If there's certain stingray holes that are slightly deeper, maybe a different colour of sand, different colours of sand are generally softer or harder. So you might find the lighter sand on a certain bank is softer. So they might sit on that or on the edge of that sand where it moulds into that muddy, clumpy stuff that they can't bury in. They might be on that just slightly softer sand. So it's a really good practice that if you are going to do this stuff or any flatty fishing really, go to wherever you want to fish or have a bit of an idea of the area that you want to fish and just go there for a walk at low tide. They're pretty easy to spot where they've sat, look for the coffin shape, and they're all going to be facing a certain way. You know that if they're facing, say, Just say you're up the pin and they're facing north. They're more of a run-in tide because they're facing into the tide. They're never going to have water going over their back. And then you can kind of really work out what you want to do on the day then. Yeah, you've got a little bit of that background, that what you've seen and what you found, and you can really use it to your advantage.
And Stuart, the hard part about what you just said, like, you know, you fish your days and all you want to do is have a rod in your hand.
Yeah.
How important is it though to not have that rod in your hand and do that bit of reconnaissance you just talked about to get better at?
That's a bit of I like long walks on the beach.
I'll be fishing while he's walking.
No, look, you got to do it.
Put down the rod.
It is. But like I go out without the rod. You just got to do it. You just dedicate a day or a couple of hours. You pack a couple of drinks and just go. Yeah. You see a lot, like particularly this last couple of days leading up to the moon, we've had a really big low tide, that early arvo. It's perfect. Like I drove down the end of one of the streets, had a look over at crab, 3/4 of Crab Island's out of the water. It's a perfect day to get out there. And you can either troll and have a look around, or you can just go out there and have a drive. Yeah. Yeah, particularly if maybe it's horrible weather and you don't want to be fishing through it. It's not too bad just to have a putt around and have a look.
There are a lot of good fish caught today. Like 60s and 70s. Numbers, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed quite a few lies on the beach out the back and
Okay.
up at the boat works.
Yeah.
There was one corner too where there was like 10 flathead lies.
Yep.
Where's that?
On the nighttime high tide.
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
push back into a corner or something.
Yep.
Yeah. So the other thing with this stuff, if you are going to fish, and obviously like you guys have got to do a bit of research about it as well, and you'll find things out over time, but there's a certain time of the year where the tides are bigger during the day than in the night. Flatties generally feed on that bigger tide because there's more run, more fun type of thing. So have a look at your tide guides and stuff like that. And when you start getting those really big daytime tides with heaps of push, that's when you're pushing into the real shallow stuff, throwing your big hard bodies. Yeah. Before then, is it pointless? It's not pointless, but you're just not going to catch as many. You're not going to see as much life up on those flats. But yeah. Yeah, man.
So, like, for those big hard bodies, is it better to fish the early morning for those big flatties than those late arvos?
I think early morning's not a bad one. If you can have a high tide reasonably early, I think they push up there and there's a bit less commotion, less boat traffic and all that stuff. Late afternoon, I've never caught many big ones late afternoon. I've caught a few, but not many. Yeah. Trolling and stuff, I've caught heaps, but not doing this stuff. Yeah. I think it's quite a visual way for them to feed. Like generally, you'll see, we'll pass a few lures around in a second, but there's a lot of lures that are very shiny. Like you're seeing that lure work on the end of a long cast, you might be 70 meters out type of thing, and you can see that lure flashing as you're twitching it. So they've got to see it as well. Yeah. Too many times I've thrown out at, say, a stingray working down current or something like that, and you see that big scum line coming off the back of it, and you're throwing around that area, and then something catches your eyes over that way, and it's a flatty with its fins out 50 meters away, and it goes over and mows your lure down. It just happens a fair bit. Yeah.
What would be the furthest a fish could go from your experience?
I've seen one about 75 out. It wouldn't be 100, but it'd be about 75, like 45 angle. And it's just, there was birds over there or whatever, and I was fishing this way, and I saw something, and it kind of bow waved and just came over and ate.
You see a shadow going fast.
Good enough to see the lure, like, in that clear.
Well, I don't know if they see it or they feel it. Like, they've got a pretty big lateral line. They sit on the sand. They feel vibration.
I think they feel it because their eyes are that way. Yeah.
How long will you work an area for?
You got to think it changes pretty quickly because of the tide. Generally,
Are you bang, 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 nothing, I'm moving? Or
10
are you
minutes.
like, there's got to be fish here, I'm staying?
maybe half hour.
Okay.
Half hour, I think, gives you a
10
certain,
minutes.
like enough route time for a few fish to move in.
Sure.
Yeah. I always try to, I know it probably burns the spot a bit, but I always try to drive through or over a spot before I leave as well. Like I won't just fish a drain and then just pack up and go, because you don't know if anything was there. So if you don't catch anything, I always drive in there, see if you spook any, see if there was bait there or something like that.
And it's interesting, Dougie made the comment, sometimes tough bites troll.
Mm.
So we fished a lagoon one day.
Yep.
Fished it for like 45 minutes, couldn't
Yep.
catch a fish.
Yeah.
Threw some hard bodies out the back, tried to put 3 in the boat in 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Quick. Yeah.
And saw a few spook off.
Yep.
So like that way you cover them both bases.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're casting too, sometimes there's a time when you can only cast that way because you can't get in shallow if you don't want to spook the fish. You have to cast up into the shallows. So most of the time though, we tend to use the electric and work into the current, casting up current and working it back most of the time.
Have you ever done burley or anything? Like to bring them into?
Yeah, you get too much bream and stuff around Adam and all those vermin, mate, yeah, and they're annoying, yeah. Flatheads are one of those fish that I think like some of the sessions we've had, or most of the sessions we have, you just cannot catch that many fish on bait as you can on lures. Lures outfish bait for flatheads. It's one of the only species that really works better. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mentioned 2,500 is relative.
Yep.
What weight rod are you using? You cast?
Look, it's a hard.
Shallows.
Yeah, like if I'm casting say 140 mil lure, generally it's around about. They're pretty heavy, but it's only for the action. I like it pretty stiff just to work that lure and cast the extra weight. Probably 3 to 6 kilo, 5 to 7, something like that. Yeah, yeah. But extra fast.
I'll make a comment on there, Doug, about bait. So we were bored one day, Dan gave me this little herring,
Yeah.
threw it out the back of Calypso Bay. Next morning, 78 centimetre flathead.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely love live baits. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, no, it's very good. No, they love live bait, but you won't get.
Another in Calypso Bay.
Yeah, they're in all the canals. Right, bait canals is full of flatheads trawling. Yeah.
Good one, mate.
Yeah. Which branch of the canal was it? No, look, we got guys that even Greenie trolls up Roanoke canals and gets a lot of fish in the canal system. It can be blowing 30 knots, but in the canal it's nice, right?
Do you have a sense?
Yeah, I'm a big scent believer. Yeah, on hard bodies. Yeah, look, I never used to be. And I soft plastic fishing. I fished with a guy about probably 6 years ago, and he talked up a pretty big game, and I was pretty self-confident. And look, we were fishing, and he had me up like 12-0. And I thought, what's he doing? You know, same lure, same jig out. I changed leader, I changed everything. And he said, oh, did you put any scent on your lure? And I said, nah, you don't need it, you know. Lure's good, it should work itself. Put a bit of S factor on, threw it out, caught a fish. Got 5 in 5 casts. Put a bit more on. Yeah, missed a couple, caught more. I ended up coming back, I beat him. But look, it was one of those things, I learnt a lot from that. And then I think as it's progressed, I never used to put it on trolling lures because I'd think, oh, you know, the lure's doing all the action. I'm making sure there's no weed on it. And then you'd fish with someone and they'd catch a few and they'd put scent on it. So then I started putting scent on it. It's very hard to get scent to stick to a hard body. Kind of slides off, it comes off when the weed touches it and all that stuff. But I've been using that bait pop stuff for just on hard bodies for a long time now, and I reckon it's the best. I'm very confident in it. Most of it, there's a ghost one now, which is that stuff, so it's just clear. Doesn't hinder the colour of your lure, but all the other stuff's got glitter in it. I use the stuff with glitter in it because you know when to put more on. If the glitter's not on there, you put more on.
Bait pop or S factor?
I'll use bait pop.
S factor.
Yeah.
If I got S factor in the boat, I'll seriously go back and get it.
I've got a question.
From home.
Is there ever a question that you two answer the same?
No.
Not really.
That's the answer to your question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had that with transport inspectors.
Yeah.
Actually, there is an answer. Would you two ever answer differently? We both say yes to that. Yeah.
Stu, will you change lures, or you've got your favourite, you've worked an area and you're out, or we go, there should be fish here, I'm throwing a 140, I'm going to go back to a 70 or an 80?
Yeah, I'll change lure.
You do?
Yeah, yeah. So particularly, more of my change in lure is to do with depth.
Okay.
Yeah. So just say, for example, talk of the town at the moment, tide minnows. They've obviously got a tide minnow slim and a tide minnow sprat. Sprat dives slightly deeper, but it's more buoyant. So if it's really weedy and you're working an edge, I might use that because I can bomb it into the weed. I can feel that resistance and float it back up.
Tide minnows are our biggest seller.
Yeah.
Across the range. That's true. So, Yeah.
fish catch.
They just work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have to do too much to them.
Stewie, the extra buoyancy in the sprat.
Yep.
Do you believe some hard bodies can float up too quick?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and then you catch a few fish on them and something pulls or whatever and they start filling up with water and then they sink and they don't work either. They might swim and they might look really good, but they just don't work.
So suspending in.
So the buoyancy rate is important.
So, well,
I think buoyancy in general is important. Yeah.
yeah, and suspending lures are getting a bit. We never used to sell any suspending in hard body for casting. We are now because people are working a bit deeper edges and stuff like that. Getting it down there, just twitching it. Yeah, working a bit slower.
Yeah.
We talk about the same spot again, Dougie?
Perhaps. I like to use a bit smaller lure like that. That's why I normally start something like that, but Stewie's casting something a bit decent, like a 140 tide or a bit bigger.
Yeah. I fish minimum
I'll
120.
cast something like that.
I'd
Oops.
like to fish a lure just under 100, Dougie. What's your pick for, say, something around 90?
I don't mind those Apias. Apias make good little lures as well. Apias. They're pretty good too. Halcyon.
Haluka.
Haluka.
But they're still 124.
Oh, 120, are they? Yeah, okay, that's a small 120. Yeah, I like around at 120 though, probably. I wouldn't use much smaller so much. You know, you can cast little things like that if you wanted to, and they will work. Like even we get a few guys that work. I don't work at smallest. Not under 120 be about the smallest at 110. But we've got guys that do use double clutches and stuff like that for casting, and do really well. Yeah.
So are you whacking them into the sand or whacking them into the structure that you're fishing? Or again, if it's weedy or above it, I get. But if you're on a sand flat like the lagoon up the top of,
It's going to hit the bottom.
You're smacking it in every time.
Yeah. I might do a couple down, feel it, and it might. You know when you pull it in and it kind of pulls back a bit, like there's a bit too much resistance, I might give a couple like up high there and work it up and
Mix it up a bit.
Yeah. I don't think there's a right and a wrong. I think as long as your lure's out there and you're putting some type of action into it and it doesn't have weed on it, you're a bloody good chance. Yeah.
How are you fishing it over a bit of weed? You mentioned the shallows.
Yeah.
You run up high there before. What sort of action you do?
Yeah. So generally if you're going to fish over the top of weed, you can't fish against the tide.
Yeah.
Just because all the weed folds over, and if you're fishing against the tide, you're digging it in underneath that lip, and you'll just get fouled up way too quick. The other thing is, with even a little bit of, once you twitch it and let go and kind of feed back that slack, you've still got a bit of resistance in there. Generally, because it's against the tide, it'll keep going down. Wants to naturally go down into it.
There's that video on YouTube too where you see your action. But you two went out and did a session that time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if anyone hasn't seen it, there's a video on Dougie's channel where they pretty much do what we're talking about now.
That was in the
But
rain
you
that
can
day.
get to see the way Stewie works his rod.
Yeah.
in the video.
Yeah. I think I caught them all that day. Pretty standard.
No, actually, I think we did it right.
Yeah.
A couple of great lures. You're talking about in size, Dave. One of my favourites is the Soul and Assassin and Shimano. They're really good as well. And the Responder, they're just such a great lure. And a lot of, us included, catch a lot of fish on those.
Yeah.
Again, the kicker back to the tide, it's just so good.
Does that have shaking?
Some of the Shimano stuff
I
does.
think you might have one. You got one of your bags. I don't know if you have
That
one.
one that you talked about doesn't.
That one doesn't. Nah, it's
No.
straight.
No.
Yeah.
Is there a Shimano lure in there, love? Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yeah. So you've got one of your bags with the
Yeah, I saw that.
Tide mainly we don't. We got them for sale though.
Yeah.
We got them on the wall up. Yeah. Yep. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
Another real popular one we sell lots of are Nodes. Nodes are really good as well. They're one of those lures that just catch flathead. And like people hunt these things down trying to buy them. They're hard to get for us to get though. When we first started doing hard bodies, we used really big hard bodies. Like athletes were really popular back in the 2 years ago probably.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years ago.
175 mil, so they're quite a big lure, right?
Yeah.
And they catch a lot of fish. And Tide Bino brought out quite a big one. This one's 175 as well. It's a different 175, but yeah, that one there. I'll pass these two around. All Japanese made. They're just great lures. Both extremely good lures, and this fella here is really good as well. I think these guys do one too, Ocean Assassin. Salmon Assassin, sorry.
I know you're
Shimano.
not talking about it tonight, Stewie, but
Yeah.
hard body versus something like your softer approach.
Yeah.
Do you find some days one's better?
Yeah. I think in a heavily fished area now, I think a soft plastic's going to do it. It's silent. When it touches the water, it sounds like a mullet landing, or it's got that softer land. This stuff's pretty loud. Like if you bomb it out there, you can hear it when it lands.
You hear it when
You've got your
pitch it
rattle.
30 metres away.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, like if they've got a cast weight in them, like that's pretty loud.
Over time, the fish become more sensitive to
I think they have to. Yeah, the fish aren't on the flats like they used to be 5 years ago. Yeah, everyone's had a crack at them. They've been caught. They don't get that big being done. So I think they've picked up on a lot. But look, having said that, I know it just sounds like us trying to sell gear, but whenever a new lure comes out and you think, oh yeah, that's going to work, you know, like those sprats, I've been using them for quite some time before they came in type of thing. And that was the difference. You can fish a standard, same colour, fish a tide minnow on a bank that gets flogged every single day of the week, whether it be a charter boat or a wreck boat, and you might get a hit or a follow or whatever. Put the sprat out, swim slightly different, same colour, they woof it. Yeah.
something new to them.
Something new to them. So I think you've definitely got that happy little grace period that a new lure actually works way better. Yeah. Look at a gulp. You used to be able to throw it out. I know this is soft plastic fishing, but throw out a gulp. Oh yeah. Have a leak over the side type of thing, chuck it in the rod holder, and 2 seconds later you've got one on. It's something swum over to it and eaten it. Now, it's just not the same, is it? Yeah.
Fish wise up quickly.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's more soft swim baits coming into the market all the time.
Oh, it's never ending.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Yeah.
Stewie, glide baits, mate.
Yeah.
Like this sort of thing.
So glide baits aren't...
Jointed lures.
Yeah, jointed. Generally glide bait, one join, so 2 sections. Swim bait, 3 or more sections. Different action. Glide bait is definitely better in terms of action and fish catching. That's probably one of our biggest sellers, the little mollucks that's going around. Wide and glide, another good one. I wouldn't go much bigger than the wide and glide. My biggest thing is with these big lures is it's very big in the fish's mouth. If they shake their head, there's a lot of weight for it to fall out. Do they eat them? Yeah, 100% they eat them. Does it look really good in the water? It definitely does. But I think these little, just standard minnow style or like small hard bodies around that 120 to 140 mil, I think once they're in, they're in. Very rarely do they come out. Yeah.
What about the soft glides?
Soft glides aren't too bad, Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah, chop blocks and stuff like that. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about it next seminar.
Yeah.
But they're good. They're really
Yeah.
good.
I prefer this stuff. Yeah. Biggest thing is with this is if you have weed on it or like you don't really know where you are in the water column, it's a lot easier to read. Like if you twitch it and it feels a bit harder, you're on the bottom, you can feel it if there's a bit more resistance, all that glide baity stuff, because it's a lot slower action, it's easier to misinterpret it, what's happening. Yeah.
Stewie, I'm going to ask questions. Any other questions for Stewie at the moment? Everyone's going all right? I'm going to ask questions. Stewie, what sort of ground do you look for, mate? Like, what are you looking for? Where are you casting?
I'll make sure there's water over it, Dougie.
Okay,
Don't
yeah.
throw on the sand.
I fish those same areas.
Yeah. Nah, look, I try to pull up to a spot. We just live at Paradise Point, well, Runaway Bay, and there's certain times that you press for time, so you don't want to go all the way up to the pin. You don't want to tow the boat closer. You just want to fish around home. So I might fish the back of Wave Break, like places out the front of Bigora, like Bayview Towers and all that type of stuff. I try to find an area or focus on an area and then work that area good. So once I pull up, I might look for some bait in the water. As I'm going there, I might look for birds or pelicans diving, that type of thing. That means bait. They're a lot smarter than us. They've got to eat to survive. We just go down the shop and buy it. So if I see some pelicans working on a bank, it might be on the current side. So the water's coming in from the seaway and pushing onto, say, the tip of Crab Island. And there's all pelicans working at the front. That generally means that there's bait coming from the seaway and getting pushed in. I'll fish that area. And then if those pelicans and birds move on, I'll follow them up. because that means I'm following the bait up, and that's going to give me the best chance to find some actively feeding fish. So in terms of bottom and stuff like that, Dougie, I think as long as you've got clearish type of bottom, sporadic weed, maybe the odd tree here and there, I think it's all the characteristics to hold bait. So I'm going to fish that type of area. Yeah.
Does anyone know where I fish for hard bodies? No? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
No, a couple of other things I could add to Stewie's comments there would be, don't be scared to cast it right up onto the sand, Nelly. A lot of those times, those big fish, your bait always sticks really close to the edge of most of your sandbars or sand areas. And if there's bait right along that edge, go over the top of them, you can bring back through it.
Onto the sand and back.
Yeah, on the sand and back. And I've caught a few fish on that. They're buried. Yeah, correct. That's right. And big fish. Other thing too is bait has the tendency to hide in dirty water when there's no dirty water. Does that make sense? So if you find an area where there's just from the swell coming from the seaway or from the jumping pin bar, and it's hitting a mud bank or hitting sand bank, and there's a little fringe that may be 2 meters wide of dirty water and super clear after that, there'll be big flatties hunting bait up and down in that dirty water. So even though you can't see your lure that hits that area, work it in that dirty water. A lot of time you get fish will come out from it, or they'll hit it in the dirty water.
So, but that's that same scenario that happens at tank bank, right? It just gets smashed straight out of the
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
You got like a tide line.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the other thing to look for, as Stewie said, look for weed. But if you find those areas where you've got a fairly big sand bank, and you've got mud clumps or that sort of clumpy, muddy stuff that's been exposed in that sandbank area, they'll be definitely sitting in that muddy area. Okay? Yeah, sitting on that part of it or around it.
Yeah.
And the bait will be there as well. Yeah. That's what
I don't think so.
is there any questions on that? Yes, please.
Being a novice,
You all right, love?
the rod
Yes.
you were talking about.
Yes.
What's that rod that you had?
This one here, this one, love? The green one?
Yeah.
So that's Shimano. The rating...
Like every day.
Yeah, that's like a heavier outfit. But if you wanted one rod to do everything, this is actually like a heavy one. So this is, I think it's 8 to 15, Stu, isn't it?
Yeah, they're a little bit heavy.
A little bit heavy
like
for everything.
and stuff.
And trolling and say soft plastics and casting lures, you want about a 3 to 6 kilo. So it's 6 to 12 pound.
All about 7 foot.
Yeah. 7 foot, yeah. 7 foot.
Yeah.
And a 2.5 or a 3,000 size reeler.
4 to 6 pounds.
4 to 6 kilo. 4 to 6 kilo.
Kilo.
7 foot, and you want a reel size 2,500 or 3,000, and you want a thin new style braid around 14 to 16 pound, or an old school 16.
Yeah.
And 20 pound weight.
And
As an all rounder.
yeah, all rounder
15
probably
to
15, 16 pound. 16 is a good all rounder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you said.
Yeah.
Yes, steam braid,
Yeah,
20 pound leader.
yeah. In the heavy, bigger lures like we're talking now, and in the little lures, around that sort of. If you want one to do everything, you go 16 pound. Yeah, that'll do
And the reel
everything.
size, sorry,
2.5 to 3. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Any other questions at all, folks?
Probably Stewie, just with with your glide baits and swim baits, I know one sort of you get that more choppy.
Yeah.
Is that why you think it's more successful?
I think you can fish a glide bait stopped a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like once you stop, it keeps swimming for you.
Yeah,
You might swim and then glide, and that's when they'll eat it.
Yeah.
I think a swim bait is pretty constant. It's a bit
Yeah,
boring,
you
you know.
got to kind of slow roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In comparison,
Yeah. 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 No, I don't, Steve. I should. They're always looking upwards. I'd always see it. But
At the moment, I've been getting a lot of flies on surface, but they're only been in like this much.
shallow.
Yeah, shallow.
Anything deeper, they're not coming up.
They're
Nah.
buried, Steve? They're buried, yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
clumsy,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they fumble it real
Oh,
bad.
yeah, they're
You get a
bad.
lot of misses, but you get a lot of hits, but
Yeah.
but they're all coming from like the
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I don't know if I don't think it's in your bag, but we sell these lures downstairs. They're like a stick bait with a very small front on them, like maybe the size then of your little finger, if not smaller, but they're like a garfish shape. I think that style, like you showed us today, similar, is going to get more and more popular for shallow water flatties. So they're like a.
Someone starting out, is there a particular lure, colour, that sort of stuff that you would say is a good way to get used to sort of being able to see the lure and stuff?
Yeah, probably just white. White or something chrome. Chrome if you're fishing. White in low light conditions because it's a silhouette, it's a solid object out there, it's easy to see. If it's really sunny, try to fish like either something very chrome or even those flash boost ones that are in your bag. Like you can see them a mile away. Yeah, they just kind of sit there and you'll definitely pick the difference.
Tonight, I thought pink was the.
Yeah, I'm
not,
never.
Not.
I thought
Yeah,
pink was.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Pink is definitely for trawling, but definitely not for casting.
Oh, so you're flicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is all
All this
flicking
big
now.
stuff,
It's all
yeah.
flicking now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there are a couple of pinks you could get
There's
away
pink
with.
and stuff. We're
maybe
pink
that
and a
one
bit
there.
of chrome. Yeah.
It's pink, but it's under its baitfish sort of colour.
Yeah.
So.
What's good about the pink on that, whereas you'll see it.
You'll see that. Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
Solid back. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is a bit left field. I don't know if Dougie spoke to you about it, but how many of you guys fish with an electric motor on the front?
Well, it will be.
Yes,
Probably,
you know.
yeah. Half-ish.
We just learned tonight, motor.
Not
Well, you can use the motor, that's right. Yep. As a marine mechanic, people like Dougie are really good for business, so it's good. But look, if you do have one, either take it off your boat or disconnect it or whatever and force yourself to fish without it, you learn way more. There's too many times that you go out there, no one reads water anymore because they pull up to a spot, put their electric in the water and say, I want to go there. They point it that way and go there. They don't take into consideration wind, tide, and all of those contributing factors is what forces bait to an area. A bait doesn't, like little herrings and stuff, they don't have an electric motor at the front. They don't just go wherever they want. They get washed somewhere. So I think the biggest thing is if you can get anything out of like a seminar or learning next time you go out, try to really read the water. Look for those little ripples that are slightly different on the water. It might be a drop off underneath, it might be dropping away, it could be picking up. Disturbed water, it could be bait kind of feeding on an edge, which is going to have predators around it. Stingray holes, the dead tree on the bank, all that type of stuff. You need to look around your surroundings. You really need to, like, we fished for years and years and years. My man's pretty tight, so am I. But we didn't have an electric. We fished a few flatty classics. We always placed not too bad. And it really made us read the water. Yeah, so pull up to a bank, leave your motor running before you fish it, do a little bit of a dummy drift. You might have wind against tide and it's perfect. You might be going to fish a bank, you've got wind against tide. It's going to make you push out the side. Either side might favour one way. You might drift slightly harder one way than the other, but you're not going to drift straight into it because the wind's blowing you off or the tide's pushing you on it. If you pull up to a spot and you've got wind and tide going the same direction, it's going to be pretty hard to fish. But it might make you fish it really quickly, or you might decide to troll or do like another option. So the biggest thing is if you're too reliant on technology these days, like the electric motor, you'll go out there, you'll forget to put it on charge, it'll wreck your whole day. You'll go home, you can't do it, you can't function.
I put my electric on my boat this year yet. I just old school style.
I could make numerous comments about that.
I set up a silent anchor, so I got a dumbbell weight.
Yeah.
And I dumbbell weight.
I feel like the shape of my mouth close.
And a bar through it, and
Yeah.
then a shackle on the top and just rope.
Yeah.
And I would just drop that down. It was only 10 kilo.
Yeah.
But it held you in the spot?
Yeah.
And well, yeah, because as your boat pulls, it goes sideways and it's
Okay, yeah.
But at least it also slows you.
It slows you down, yeah.
Yeah.
And they work really well and they're quiet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just don't put the bucket of water out.
Yeah. I think, look, I mean, I'm not saying everyone don't buy an electric and stuff. I think it's the difference between catching 5 fish and 10 fish because you can work an area thick, like harder once you find a couple of fish. But it's just the best way to learn about all the little bits just to help you look for a spot for next time.
Just easier to put on an anchor.
You got noise then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go do one last thing. You reckon you're left field? For left field, and these are only from especially the groms that are coming in, the young guys, they love micro jigging, right? The amount of flatties they catch on micro jigs and all sizes is amazing. We don't do it